Hey everybody, I'm Revengeance, and I'm here with Stacey Smyth for the American Horror Story Apocalypse season finale live stream. Welcome, Stacey. How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. The end is here, everyone. The end has finally come.
Oh yes. Oh yes, we are here, and we're going to go over Fire and Rain 2, which was episode 9. We had some technical difficulties last week. I do apologize for that. And we are going over Apocalypse Then, which was the season finale of season 8. So we'll go back to episode 9 just for a quick recap. We had Miss Venable, or actually we had Mutt and Jeff, actually, is how we started off episode 9. First we had Jeff was complaining about how much people suck. We seen reminder of Miss Mead with the gun shooting off. It was like a little practice round going on there, huh?
Yeah, it was almost like it was kind of funny because it reminded me of like a Russian roulette where you just keep going until you find the bullet and it just shoots at you. So I thought that was a little interesting right there.
I know. I started counting off shots, and when he went past 6, I'm like, oh no, he's not doing it.
Getting close, huh?
Yeah, I was like, is he playing chicken?
Yeah.
And we've seen, of course, the Apple too. I don't know if you noticed that with another Apple computer sitting right there in front of us.
Yep. That to me was like the dead giveaway that they were definitely linked to Michael somehow.
Yep. Oh yeah. The apples were everywhere this season. Yes. It kind of makes me think that that's another reason. I was kind of mentioning this to you earlier, that I think there's more coming from this season. That we're not going to be done with it. It's just little things like that. There's apples everywhere. There's going to be we're just planting seeds, in other words. But he's complaining about the little lost Antichrist and what to do with them and how to solve the problem. We have Miss Venable walk in, and she kind of gives him a little idea of what to do. He decides to sit her down and tell them about what the cooperative is. We finally are going to find out what the cooperative is after all season of wondering. And it's kind of not what I thought it was for sure, but it's the Illuminati. That was the big surprise there.
It was a little misleading, actually, because the way that they made it seem at the beginning of the season was that it was only a dozen people. And it turns out that it's more than a dozen people. It's a list of 100. And I'm just like, what in the world? Where did you guys get 12 then? That's way off.
Didn't they say something at one point about 7 people being?
It was just that's not 100. No matter how many they said, it's not 100. They could have said, yeah, there's 100 people in this cooperative. No, they didn't say 100. I'm gonna rant about that. I gotta stop.
Clinton, though. That was my favorite mention on the list.
Yeah, I gotta stop. Okay.
But it turns out that the movers and shakers were the Illuminati. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that either of us anticipated that one at all.
No, I didn't. I mean, it I don't know. I mean, it fits all right. It can work, but I just was expecting a little something different too. Yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to figure out something completely different. Like we, hindsight, right? Everyone, hindsight. So like, we were trying to figure out if it could possibly be anyone who appeared in the show, and we were asking the question, are there even that many people left in the show that could, act as the cooperative? And we had nobody. We had nothing. We sat there and we racked our brains like, who is this going to end up being? And it was nothing like we expected.
I think
that was a neat little twist, though.
Yeah. Because, I mean, really, who's left in the other outpost now? I have more questions, because now we've only really seen the one outpost. Who else is out there? Did they survive what's going on out in the world? And okay, I know later on it's going to kind of flip on us, so it doesn't really matter. But it did. It just posed more questions for me than answers. So I don't know. It was kind of funny in a way, but I don't know.
I think that if we would have really, like I said, hindsight, right? If we would have looked back and just seen where the missiles were probably coming from and bombing, we could have probably guessed that, you know, some world leaders were involved. But I don't think that we would have guessed anyone else that was on their list.
That brings up a good point. They say later on, when they're talking to Michael in the episode, that all they need is 3 people strategically located to press a button in the world, and that's it. Apocalypse happens. So really, they had those 3 people between the 3 of them. I mean, it was done no matter what. And it made me wonder later on in the next episode when we see some of these outposts actually on the map, if those were the locations that were needed, you know, if we had already seen them.
So those are a kind of a cross. Well, you think about it. I think that those 3 buttons were actually the 3 people that were involved in the planning, Michael, Mutt, and Jeff. Because if you think about it, like figuratively and literally, you've got Mutt and Jeff who sit there on computers all day and they're pressing buttons. And then Michael is pressing a figurative button, his father, by throwing around his father's name. So that's the 3 people right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my point. So they really didn't need anyone else at that point. I mean, they didn't even need Miss Venable. I mean, she was kind of dispensable. The apocalypse was in their hands. Everyone else was just kind of along for the ride, you know?
I guessed it, though. I was actually right. In the episode before that, when they first showed Mutt and Jeff, I went to my husband and I was like, they are going to be the ones that set this all off. I know it's going to be them. I know it's going to be them.
It was kind of like because they were just bored too.
Yeah. I knew they were the culprits of that. So, so I was pretty proud of myself. I called that one.
Right, you know, that was a great call. I kind of was thinking the same thing. I was like, you know what, they're just going to be around board one day, be like, you know what, today we should just like end the world. And the way that they were leading Michael was just kind of hilarious to me. The way that they were just programming in Miss Mead and everything, and telling her what to say, and and they're just so good looking, you know. And you should really listen to them guys. They're so smart. Go talk to them. It makes me wonder now the whole time with everything that she's saying. I just think of them behind it all, you know. Yeah. And I mean, but think back to even whenever they were playing cards, when Miss Mead was playing cards with Miss Venable, way back in like episode 1, episode 2, you know, when they're dressed up in the purple. Now think of that as being like Jeff sitting there playing cards with her, you know? I mean, it looks all crazy now.
But only, and then we have to separate the human Mead with the android Mead, right? Because they weren't always in control of her. They were only in control of her while she was robotic. So everything else was the human thought and the human interaction with Michael. So only from a certain point forward.
Right. Yeah, you have to sit there and differentiate, the 2, the robotic and the human Miss Mead.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it gets all confusing with her, doesn't it? And then I guess when she comes back, the reborn version of her. So yeah, she gets a little confusing to follow. Let's move on a little bit now to the witches, because we see Mallory. She's resurrecting a bird, and we see her resurrect a lot on these last 2 episodes. But right here, we see her with the bird, and it's like she's trying to do the different trials of the 7 wonders right here at this point. And this is where she's actually upstairs and Myrtle and Cordelia walk in on her, and this is where we see Michael and Miss Mead come in and actually attack the coven. What was your first impression whenever, first of all, we see the reigning voodoo queen, Dinah, she's not let them in, so she kind of just turned on the other witches right there, which was just dirty, first of all.
She was a traitor, so.
Yeah, she really was. She was a traitor.
She was a traitor, yep.
And
called that one, too, yes.
Yeah, right. And we were wondering what her run-in with Michael was before in the past. Now we know what it was. So that told us right there. And we know how she got her TV show now too. What was just your whole impression of all that? Just whenever he came in and just unloaded on the coven like that.
Okay, so that's something that I was waiting for episodes and episodes. I kept saying every time that that's what I was hoping that they would explain. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't what I thought it would be. I was very disappointed in how that went down. I mean, if they're all sitting there with little bowls full of like nails and sharp objects and stuff like that, and he just goes and uses that against them to like go into their like shrapnel, okay, like that to me was so anticlimactic. I just, oh gosh. And then Queenie and Zoe getting shot, like, okay, those, yeah, but the other ones, oh gosh, okay, yeah.
You know,
I was not
glad to see. I was kind of glad to see Zoe go. It kind of pissed me off when she finally came back later. I was like, "Do we have to bring her back again?" But
yeah,
I didn't like how it went either, especially because they just sat there, went through all the trouble of making these little things. Yeah, it was like, why are they doing this charm if it's not going to work? I mean, all of them are sitting there too, and the fact that they were all collected there together, it's like they were just ducks sitting in a pond, just waiting to get hit. I will say that was probably my favorite line in the show was delivered by Bubbles. And that was her prophesized darling line.
You were prophesized. Yeah, there's like no surprise in this at all. And then she has a martini or whatever.
Yeah, and right as those go through.
Yeah.
And
that was great.
I know that was my favorite line though.
That was great.
And I was sad to see her go again. You know, we got her back. Why do we have to lose her again? And I was sad to see Queenie go. Like I said, Zoe didn't bother me so much. She's good with the teacher, but she just kind of gets on my nerves in general. You know, like how Coco bothers you. That's my Zoe.
Yeah. So, but Queenie kind of misunderstood and misconstrued the situation. Normally, her voodoo trick would have worked, but Misty was not human. And she, I mean, that white crap that started coming out, it reminded me of like a waterfall of glue.
It reminded me of Westworld. No joke. And
really?
Bringing that up, I'm glad you kind of said that because you reminded me. All right, this is how weirdly, like, all the different shows I watch tie in. Okay. I'm watching Expedition Unknown, which is on Travel Channel, and there's this guy that hosts it named Josh Gates. Now, he was doing one of these shows, and it was something on it. It was like Quest in the Afterlife, like a Halloween sort of special. But he was in Russia, and it was like he was talking to this guy that was humanist. And it's kind of interesting because basically he's a humanist activist. And what the humanists believe is they believe in immortality. And the way that they believe in immortality, from the way I understood it, at least with this guy, is they do the cryogenics thing. And there's an actual cryogenics lab in Russia. It's like supposedly the one in Europe, the only one in Europe there. And they had like 59 people there in that one. And he was there, or he's going to be there. He's got like these little dog tags, and his mother's already there. And the way that they believe in immortality is through AI. And it's totally Westworldy, like completely 100%. But that's what they are. But it just made me think back to this with Miss Mead and just Mutt and Jeff and their robots and everything, and their whole AI tech and how just what all they were doing. And it's just weird how everything connects. But if you're interested in that stuff, just really check it out. It's really interesting. I won't carry on with that so much. But so Dinah got her 13 episodes. She made her deal.
She did. The number 13. Lucky 13, huh?
Right? Yeah, Lucky 13. Something
He
that
seemed disappointed. Let me go back to that real quick. Let me go back to that, because after he said that, the look on her face kind of reminded me of her just kind of thinking like, was this worth it? Because she only got 13 episodes out of it.
right?
I mean, yeah, she made a lot of money, but when he said 13 episodes, she just kind of looked at him like, is that it? That's all I'm worth?
But that shows how trifling she was. She really was. She was in it. She talked at the beginning about she was in it for the green. That was the only color she was worried about. And that shows why, because we come back later too, to why Papa likes her and wants her down there to be a torturer. And that is because she's so dark like that, He needs that dark soul.
Yeah.
And where you talked too about, Michael seems surprised. And I know I've said this to you before, and Michael seems this at this point to me too. And he has these points all through the entire show, I think, where he has these moments of innocence, where he seems very innocent and childlike to me. And it kind of makes me think that we might have the wrong guy because of this, that we might be looking in the wrong direction.
This is where we're going to disagree, because I feel like that's part of the deception, the manipulation of him.
See, and I don't know. I kind of wonder with that too, because like we were talking about before with the whole demon deception where they act like children and stuff too. So I've actually wondered that myself. But
he's part of the act.
And I kind of wonder that too. But it just still, I don't know. He just has that, and I wonder too if it's because of the accelerated growth with him. Or if he really is, maybe he does have that innocence. Maybe that is part of his charm. I don't know, but it's just really, I don't know.
We can address that for the final episode too.
Right? Yeah, because I don't know. It just bugs me. Something else that comes up. Okay, when we're talking about with Mutt and Jeff, they talk about their place. Because Michael wants to end the world. He wants to end the witches. That's all he's really concerned about. When he talks to Mutt and Jeff, and they're going over their plans with them and what to do, and they say that they teach him about the Illuminati too. They say that they're spot on at 69, which I thought was kind of funny because there's two of them, first of all, so just numerology and stuff, that kind of is funny with me.
Yeah.
But they talk about people suck in. Michael has his army with the cooperative. And about how science and humanity, basically that math is winning over magic anymore.
Right.
And again, about the nuking people with 3 people in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
So this is pretty much where we see the apocalypse and the plans lay right here. This is where it happens. Any real thoughts you had on this part?
Not really. I kind of saw where they were going with that pretty easily. So, I didn't put much thought into it. I felt that, that everything was easily explained as it went along. There's not too much to delve into there for me.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, they pretty much just went over, okay, this is what the part I liked the best was about the math winning over magic. To me, I thought that was very interesting because this is what we're living in this day. I mean, if you look just historically at what's going on, science is winning anymore. We're not living in the age of the mystic anymore. Science and technology, just the evolution of man. It's just really interesting, and just, I don't know, if you're just into history and stuff like that, it's just kind of happening. What they were predicting, what they're saying, what they're waiting on for revelations to happen. I mean, it's pretty much, it's happening. Math is winning. I mean, we can explain things that we couldn't explain anymore. Basically, what they took for magic 100 years ago even can be explained scientifically now. I mean, there isn't really much of a difference between the two. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing, though, right? Is what they're saying is utterly rational. However, they believe that they sold their souls to the devil for what they have. That's not mathematic. And that is, in a sense, magic. Okay? So to me, it's a contradiction for someone to say something like that, to believe that, you know, that magic doesn't win out somehow. In this case, it does, because it was because of their magic that they had this belief in Michael to begin with, and it also led to them wanting to destroy the planet and convincing him to do that. So that wasn't a matter of mathematics for them. That was a matter of magic. So they're like a walking contradiction.
Yeah, because they signed themselves up for something mystical, basically, you know, and they got it. I mean, they're sitting there. I mean, look at they're like snorting a kilo at a time, you know, and they're not ODing. I mean, so that's obviously something magical right there, because that ain't going to happen. So they're putting their faith in something right there that they claim to not believe in, because they're saying that they believe in the math part of it. Yeah, and
yeah, you can't. And look, here's the thing, right? And there are a lot of people, just in general, who consider themselves to be rational, but then they have irrational beliefs, or maybe an irrational belief system that ventures on the magical side. Again, you know, these guys just don't, you know, they don't cut it. But I think that's pretty realistic for a lot of people, is, you know, they may think that, you know, here I am, a solid and concrete thinker on one hand, and then, but except for this over here. So I think that that's a lot of people in general.
Oh, I probably do that myself, honestly. Because yeah. I do. I'll think some stuff like really rationally, and then some other stuff I'm like,
it's but like, they don't have to be. Yeah, they don't have to be. And for me to sit here and say that they have to be, you know, independent of each other, that doesn't have to be the case. You can hold, you know, rational and irrational, or unbelievable, or, you know, extra, you know, extraterrestrial, whatever your thoughts are. You can have them, you know, you can have them both. You don't have to have one or the other. So that's just kind of, you know, where I stand on that.
And that's it. I think that somewhere we live in the middle.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think when you lean too far one way or the other, but I think, and see, that's what I believe, though. I think that everything kind of has balance.
Yeah.
So
it's balance, right?
Yeah. And let's go to a little bit of magic now, which the witches are in Misty Shack now, which is their kind of escape place, I guess, their little escape pod. And we're going to see Cordelia astral project. Now, she's trying to bring the girls back, and she learns that she can't because Michael's done their souls. We see Michael do this with a murder house to the new tenants when they moved in.
Right.
Now he's done this with Zoe and Queenie. This was a moment I kind of enjoyed because, again, no more Zoe. I was really sad about Queenie and my loss for Bubbles. But it was a moment of joy to an extent because it just kind of wiped out some loose ends and just cleaned up a mess, right? Cordelia was kind of waking out whenever she was astral projected. I was a little worried that she might not come back. I kind of thought the sacred taking would happen here, but it didn't. Cordelia's being a little stubborn with that going on. How about you? What did you think was going to even happen there? Did you think that would happen then, or what?
So Cordelia, I just want to fast forward to the Cordelia part because she and I had some conflict this season, some pretty big conflict, and I'm really just she has her moments where she truly does make sense, right? And to invoke the sacred taking would have just, you know, it would have been the thing to do. And she let Myrtle talk her out of it. And she even admitted out loud that, you know, in a way she wasn't ready to let go. So, you know, I think that if somebody's ready to do that, then they're going to do it. It didn't happen in this episode. So she became Fiona-like in that respect. But at least she was honest about it too. You know, I'm not really ready. Myrtle, gosh, bless her heart. You know, she really wanted to keep Cordelia around as long as possible. And I understand there's an affection there and everything. It was, you know, Cordelia is like a daughter to her, right? So, yeah.
It was a really emotional moment with Myrtle there, that whole talk, and just how she was worried about, Cordelia was worried about being like Fiona, showed that she was not like Fiona right there. Because Fiona wouldn't worry about it to begin with. Fiona was just Fiona. That's all she was worried about. You know, she didn't care about anyone else. And we know that Myrtle did raise her. She took care of her. She was the mother figure in her life. That was her mother, essentially. So it was a really good time with all that. I felt really sad for her. And I wish that Myrtle wouldn't have tried to hang on so tight. She should have let go then. I think it, but I don't know. I think it's one of them things too, that everything had its time and it just wasn't that time, because then Cordelia wouldn't have been able to bring them back later.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they could have went ahead and just handled their business though at the same time and avoided all the drama. I don't know. But okay, then we see Mallory go ahead where she tries to go back, and she tries with Anastasia Romanoff. And she fails. But she went further than any witch has ever went. She made it back, first of all. So that was amazing. So it showed that she can do it. It gave Cordelia enough faith to say, okay, I know you got this. I'm not worried. We can put the identity spell on you guys. Everything's going to be okay. We're putting the fate of the world in your hands just based on this one time. I mean, that was crazy, right?
So I'm going to reserve my thoughts about that for the next episode.
Okay. All right, but we know that she did pierce the veil. It did work. Okay,
yeah,
so we got that.
And I actually decided to do some fact checking on that historical tidbit that we were shown about the Bolshevik Revolution, and it is accurate. It is accurate. The Romanovs were executed at the time of the Bolshevik Revolution.
I knew that story.
But and there might be some people not familiar with that, but but I started having doubts that was really the case. But I started looking. It wasn't that I necessarily stopped by just seeing Bolshevik Revolution. I also went to Anastasia's, Wikipedia and everything, and just, yes, she was 17 years old. No, there was nothing mentioned about witchery or anything like that, that she tried anything of the sort. But otherwise, it's pretty factually accurate.
You want to know something very interesting about her, though? There was a woman that actually popped up that was the appropriate age some years later, claiming to be her.
Yeah, there were a few, and they were all proven to be not her. She was. They actually found her. They found her remains, and she was buried in the 1990s. So they found that she was actually dead.
Okay, yeah, because I know that there was one that they were questioning. This was like, this was when I was a kid. I remember, because it was like a big to do.
And then they did the Disney movie, the cartoon,
and all kinds of stuff. Cartoons. Oh, I used to love hearing about her. The Russian princess. Yeah, it was like a great story. But no, I remember like a woman turning up, and it was like a big deal.
Was it Disney? Maybe it wasn't Disney. Maybe it was Warner Brothers. One of them did a cartoon back in the 90s.
Yeah, it wasn't Disney. It was not Disney. I remember that because it was somebody else, because it was a knockoff of Disney.
It may have been Warner Brothers or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember it though. I can like still see it in my head. I used to love that movie.
Yeah.
I still watch Disney movies. Don't get me wrong. I love all of it. That's part of living in Florida.
Me too. Guilty.
Right.
Guilty. Okay.
But no, and that's actually a really good thing. They did get shot in the basement and everything too. Like it was really sad. Okay, let's see. Brand has a question over here. At the end of season 3. Okay, let me back up. Cordelia's character has changed to me between the end of season 3 and this season. You're right. At the end of season 3, she was this super strong, pretty lady, and this season you can see the stress of being supreme. For a few years for sure. Fiona has had more fun with it. Cordelia was really passionate. Profession about to be the supreme. You can also tell because she's losing being the supreme because the new supreme is rising. So that would explain a lot of the stress on her.
Yeah.
The question I always say is, I know it's impossible to guess, but what do you hope is the next season will be, and what season do you want it to connect to?
We were talking about that.
Asylum. We were talking about that, and we're gonna get into that a lot more. You want to mention it a little bit right now?
No, I think it's more appropriate for the next episode.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll get into it. Don't worry. We're going to get into it.
We'll elaborate.
Yeah. We're almost there. I promise. Yep. Yeah, we're definitely almost there. Let's see. Okay. So they go to check out the Hawthorne School and meet with the warlocks. They find out all the warlocks were dead. Something I thought that was interesting about that when they got there is the pentagram. They were all shaped in the pentagram. Now I had a little Night King moment there, but they were all shaped in the pentagram, which is upside down again, which seems to associate with Michael a lot. But I just thought that was kind of funny in general because, he could have used them, first of all. It doesn't seem like all the warlocks were against him. So why is he trying to get rid of all of them?
That was a question that we were asking in previous episodes, is what happened to the warlocks to where the Hawthorne School was empty to begin with. And when we discussed it, initially there was the thought that the warlocks maybe joined the witches, and that just wasn't the case. I didn't quite feel that way, but...
Right, so what was it? They were sacrificed to prevent them from joining the witches? Is that what I'm to understand? Because it kind of confused me a little.
I think so, because of who was left with them, right? You had John Henry and Behold, who were actively assisting the witches. So that's why they were sacrificed, because they were either with him or against him, so they had to die.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, that part just kind of irritated me. But with the whole, it was like he left his calling card there, and so that was kind of my moment, where, I flashed over. And it was like he left his calling card to let him know that he was there, he's the one that did it, And I just don't understand the why of it. There was a lot of whys for me this season. I don't get it. And and then we go back to, Mutt and Jeff again. They're getting ready for the whole, summit with the cooperative. Mm-hmm. And they're requested to have Roxy a cricket again, which were their mile high hookers, They're talking to Miss Venable. They're letting her know that she's going to have a bigger part to play, just not with them, but at one of their outposts, which we later see her running it. Now we know how she got there. See, now I feel like I should watch like the last half of the season and go back and watch the first half of the season for it all to kind of make sense in order.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah. I like that she, whenever, you know, they're talking to her about the Illuminati, she brings up that she's seen the History Channel, the History Channel, and how she's seen documentaries on there, and that it's just a secret group that's movers and shakers that kind of run things. And they're like, yeah, you got that part right, just not like you think.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they fill her in on everything and let her know how she's going to play her part in it. So it's kind of funny how they use that purple against her later on, and they kind of switch it up, and she's in black all the time, and the elites are in purple. So it's like they're throwing it in her face that she's never going to be one of the purples. Did you catch on to that?
They were going to throw it in her face that she was never really going to be an important person to them to begin with, and it started back at, you know, their building, their office, when she was working for them directly. They didn't treat her like a valuable team member, not really. Even after she, you know, she started getting all pissed off and asserting herself and everything, they just kind of laughed it off, and they're like, you know, get our Mile High girls, you know, like that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You know, like that's what she's reduced to. And but I think that they did make the good decision there in making her, you know, in charge of at least Outpost 3, right? So they knew that she had a purpose, and they stated as much, just that they needed somebody in that particular one. Now, I wonder what the significance of just Outpost 3 in general was. Why they would put her at that particular outpost versus any other. Because, I mean, with having a number of them, why the third one? I mean, aside from the fact that it was underground, but
well, that was my thought. It was underground. They were at Outpost 2. The other one was in the Bahamas with all the beautiful people. So yeah, that was why they put her at that one.
So to me, it was just kind of a weird call on their part, but I don't know. Maybe I was missing something, or maybe there was just nothing to it, and it just happened to be Outpost 3, but I don't know, maybe 3 has a significance.
I do. I think that's why, because they were talking about it. All the smart people were at the one in West Virginia, and then all the beautiful people were at the one in the Bahamas. And they were talking about, well, who are we going to put at this one where he's going to be at, which was Outpost 3. That's one where he was going. That's where he had Miss Mead at. So that's where they put her at.
Gotcha. Okay, that I knew I was missing something then, because I knew there had to be a reason for it. But
yeah. Okay. Yeah, at least that's what I think, because they were, because he was complaining that Mutt and Jeff were complaining to each other, because it's like, why are we going to West Virginia instead of down here with all these beautiful women? And it's like, oh no, we're staying here with the smart guy, because that's where all the smart people are at. We need to be with them.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I want to go here with all them. And it's like, no. And then Miss Mead's over here waiting for him at his outpost. And that's the same outpost that was Outpost 3. That's where they had it set up for him. And that's where they had Miss Mead at and Miss Dunwell at.
Yep.
So that's what that one was his. So that's the 3 right there, at least that we know about. So yeah, okay. So and then where are we at with that? They're on top. They called the outpost Little Sanctuary. So that answered our question too, as far as what are the sanctuaries. We know the sanctuary was basically bullshit this whole time, right? He kept talking. Michael was talking about, well, I'll take you to the sanctuary if you pass the interview thing, right?
Yeah.
The whole cooperating. That's all it was.
Guess what? We're staying in place.
Right. The little sanctuary was.
Hope you're comfortable.
So yeah, whenever Jeff was the one that said that, he's the one that called it the little sanctuary, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So. But basically, this whole thing, this whole season has just been screwing with our mind. And then, okay, so then we go to Michael, and Mary and me, they're at the little retreat for where we're going to meet the cooperative for the first time. And I like the little 0.1% in flannel and what was it, Paragonia, and they're horseback riding doing yoga. I hope they can take the time to help me. I know where he's talking about that. And he's kind of just, talking bad about him for a minute, like,
that was pretty funny.
It really was. I loved it.
Because you don't really hear him like crack jokes or really making fun of anybody or anything like that. So
right, I know that was probably the funniest.
That was out of character for him though too.
It was, and you know what? And I will say this: Cody Fern did a really good job this season, and I want to see him in more stuff now because I just think he did. I don't know. I just think he did really good. And I hope they bring him back on here, actually. And I think they will on 9 and 10 episode, or season 9 and 10. Because he did. He just was really bomb. He was awesome. And I don't think they could have cast Michael Langdon better, honestly. So, okay. We go in and we meet the cooperative with all their masks on, of course, because they're not going to show themselves to anybody else and let anyone know who they are.
They remind me of like space age fencing masks.
I had a total like Darth Vader moment. Just like it was just seriously, it was like, are they all trying to be like Vader?
You were expecting to hear some James Earl Jones,
right? I was like, doing a little breathing stuff. And he called them. He said the the cultural influences. He did this whole big old intro, and his hands turned red. I guess that was his big show to, guess who's my daddy?
It looked like he was wearing gloves to me.
I wondered that, but it's like I was like, wait a minute, I remember his hands were like regular a minute ago, so I think he really did like turn them red, like he was trying to show this. Like, that was his props or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's why I thought that he was wearing gloves, is because I wasn't paying attention until he did some sort of movement with his hands, and then I noticed like, wow, he's wearing all black and then red gloves.
Yeah, it was like on the second time I watched it, and then I was like, because that's when I caught it, and because that's what I thought the first time, and then I was like, did he just do that? And then I remembered the opening credits, how it had the red hands. And I was like, I guess that's his way of showing he's a daddy's boy or something.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, like, oh yeah, I guess who I am. Because it's like, and if you watch everybody's expression, it's like they are like, yeah, here's this guy, whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay. And then they start paying attention and reading their little books.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was kind of interesting too. They said, what was it? Page 6, section 1 was about outpost construction. So that's the first place they go, was page 6. And of course we see the 6s everywhere. They're popped up. So, that was just funny. And then where they're talking to about, you have a bunker under your ranch in Texas. I know who I just
possibly guess who that is. Whatever.
Right? Yeah, I was going to say, I know who I think about with ranch in Texas. So, that's just where my mind goes. But it was just really cool. And then about the, land in New Zealand that you just bought and stuff like that. It's just funny how our brain just starts connecting to different world leaders and people, stuff like that, It was just fun. And then they start talking about the 1,000 nukes that are going to end the world. So we finally got our cooperative. We're done. So we've made it through fire and rain, right? So it's time for apocalypse then, right?
Yes.
You ready for the season finale?
Let's talk finale. I got a lot of thoughts on it.
All right, we're ready. Okay, season finale time. Myrtle and Venable. Myrtle walks in. I love the way she just strolled up in there too. She walks in, and Venable's first question is, how'd you get through security? She says like this. Now, something I want to point out right away is Miss Venable's belt buckle. To me, the first thing that just screamed about this woman's belt buckle, and I caught it last episode too, so I got to say it now, is it reminded me of the Hotel Cortez. Just the shape of it and everything. First thing I thought back to was Michael drawing it on that sketchbook way back in episode, what was it, 2?
Yeah.
And I just think there's little signs of it everywhere. And we'll come back to that later, but I wanted to throw that out there. So she snaps her out and lets her know how she got past them. Something else that I thought this was kind of interesting is the just decor around her. How she's kind of in the middle and they got the two on the side, little windows. It just kind of reminded me of the whole womb thing, like Venable was in the womb. So I don't know. I just kind of think maybe we might see her again still later. So our favorite scoliosis receptionist might pop back up. She kind of reminds me of a demonish person. I don't know. I just think that scoliosis is for a reason. I don't know. What are your whole thoughts on just that whole opening and just all that?
So, okay. So the first connection that I made, and maybe this is something that nobody cares about, but it's just blatantly obvious to me, is that Venable and Myrtle have the same color hair dye. Okay? That same bright red. And I think it's a matter of, you know, natural hair colors or whatever that makes it, you know, look slightly different. But they've got the same color hair, first of all right? So you got these two fiery redheads, you know, and they're kind of clashing and everything. And then I liked it. I liked that scene because it's the first time that we actually see what Myrtle can do with her magic, aside from, you know, what she did back in Coven with enchanting the tongue, right? We didn't really see her do that, but we saw her use her powers in this episode, and you know, even just that scene, and then, you know, a few scenes that kind of follow. So I was really happy to see that she actually does perform some sort of magic, that she's not just there saying, oh, I'm a witch. Oh, I have great things to say about style and people and wine, and, you know, and throwing out big words and, you know, making the biggest fawning over Delia. And, you know, like, to me, she actually becomes a functional witch at that point. Yeah. Thank goodness, because if they were never going to do that, I'd be like, well, what the hell is Myrtle? What's the point of her?
She used to have good tea and nice talks.
I guess. I don't know.
I know. I really did. I love seeing the naughty witch come out of her too. It was really great. And
yeah,
how she did it, it's like she was so much fun. She really was. And
she was quite proficient with what she was doing too. She wasn't doing just like little stuff either.
No, she wasn't. She just kind of swooped in there, and she did, and I really loved it. And I'll tell you, Myrtle Snow is probably my favorite witch of them all. She's just, I just love her. I just love her. I love her little catty remarks. I love everything about her. It's like, I want to grow up and be just like her. I mean, I just think she's so great. Frances Conroy just nailed it. She really did. And I love all her characters, everything that she's done. But I do. I think Myrtle's probably my favorite. And she did. She walked in there, and even past Venable, when she walked in there to the boys, and the way she handled Mutt and Jeff, and we came up with a little confusion here, even between ourselves, on whether or not they're still alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of how she left them. I mean, she left saying, you know, about, I'm only upset that I won't be able to see you die. So we're not even quite sure about that. And because of the several characters that they play also. And she tells them to. Now, she walks in there and she checks out the whole Outpost scene, right? So, all right, I want to bring this up a little bit too. Okay, now when she looks at the board and she's telling them that you're going to leave 4 spots for Mr. Vanderbilt and his family, right? And we've actually brought up the Vanderbilt connection to the witches before, and about how they came down. Now, when we look at the occupants on there, I want to mention one is Dee Stevens. And now we think Dinah Stevens from the show, right? Because that's the witch on the show. Now, another little thing, I just want to say Dan Stevens from Legion, which is coming on soon, guys. And I tell you that because I'll bring it up later.
There's another one. There's another one that kind of comes to mind, and it's actually a character name. Now that we think about it, is Darren Stevens from Bewitched.
You know, that's really cool too. I like that one too. Oh, that kind of opens up a few then.
Yeah.
Just to name a few, let's see if you guys can guess any. But we have.
That's right. I used to watch it.
Oh yeah, right. I know. I love that show too. I love it. My nose though. I've tried. I can wiggle my chin. We got E. Taylor, who has a couple spots, and we've actually looked some of these up. We can find some ball players, but we can't really find much else. E. Taylor, obviously, we thought of Elizabeth Taylor. We got E. Williams, H. Green, A. Brown, B. Adams, Brian Adams, and that's really what came up too. A. Miller, A. Rogers, M. Wilson, E. Bailey, I. Moore, B. Cooper, Bradley Cooper, obviously. E. Taylor again, C. Wilson, or C. Watson, W. Garcia, B. Rogers, and E. Nelson. I'm horrible at reading out loud. I'm sorry. And like I said, other than a couple actors, it was pretty much ball players, and the rest of them we couldn't find nothing on. Now, the weird thing about this list is none of these people were in Outpost 3. Dinah Stevens was the only one we had, right? Mm-hmm. So who were these people? We have no idea. But none of them were there. Now, who we did see there, obviously, I mean, Timothy's name is not on this list. Emily's name is not on this list, unless she is either E. Taylor or E. Williams. So, I mean, Emily's the only possibility. Mm-hmm. We don't see, obviously, Coco's not on here.
Coco, not Blonde, not...
Well, they haven't been added yet. That's who Myrtle goes and says to add is the 4 Vanderbilts.
Yeah.
So 4 people are going to lose their place on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, and we had 2 E. Taylor. Yeah, and her name on there was Joan Collins, though. And that's who I was thinking about, was that could have been like her little, you know how sometimes actors will give like fake names when they stay at hotels and stuff like that. And that's what I thought about with the E. Taylor, is that could have been like what Joan Collins' character was doing on there. But she didn't have her spot on there. She just kind of took it from somebody, remember? That was supposed to be a Vanderbilt spot.
Yep.
So yeah, that can't even, I just don't even know that. But that was just something that was kind of interesting with the Outpost spots. Now we noticed that there's one in New York, one in West Virginia. The one in LA is the Hawthorne School, and then the 4th one was in the Bahamas. So we know of 4, right? And it was kind of funny that he wanted them to wipe the SSD card on Miss Mead so that she didn't remember that he was Antichrist, which we know that to happen because we've seen it already happen. It's kind of curious just why he wanted that to begin with, though. Did you wonder that? That was never really explained.
I don't know that would have been the case, like that, that he wouldn't want her to know or anything like that. I think it was a matter of feeding the information to her slowly, but we found out in the previous episode that Jeff and Mutt were controlling Miss Mead anyway. So really it wouldn't have mattered because, look, okay, I have a problem with it. I have a huge problem with it. All right. Now that we know that Jeff and Mutt were behind Miss Mead, I didn't like the idea that they necessarily asked Michael for all this information and to tell them everything that he could about what he knew about Ms. Mead, because it didn't matter because they were controlling her anyway. Now, whether they were controlling her all the time or some of the time or just certain parts of the day or something, it just seemed dumb to me that they would have him feed that much information just to be the ones, typing the words that are coming out of her mouth anyway. So maybe that's an override function, and maybe it's something that, you know, they decided, okay, we're tired of waiting. We're just going to do a manual override, and that could be the case too. But I wasn't very thrilled about that. I wasn't happy to know that.
Yeah, that irritated me too, because it's like it kind of took all the fun out of it. The whole Miss Me thing, I don't know. I'm just kind of.
It was funny in parts, you know.
Yeah, it was funny seeing them screwed with, and
yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like I just don't want to see them the whole time just sitting there do that. I do think it was probably a manual override, and I don't think they just sat there and did it the whole time.
I hope not.
But okay, let's bring up something that kind of it comes a little later in the episode, but it's something that is bugging the hell out of me, and that is the whole Mutt popping up later. What are your feelings about? Do you think it was a character change, or is he actually being Brock? Did he play in to be Brock?
Aside from the way that his voice sounded, he didn't seem to be the same person. Just personality-wise, I don't feel that they were the same people. I think they were different roles, different functions.
Okay, first of all, I want to say something. I want to say Evan Peters really did awesome this season. He played 4 different characters. Okay, we got Mr. Gallant, we got Tate, we got Mr. March, and we got Jeff, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the most he's done in one season.
Colt, he did about as many.
Did he? Okay, I ain't finished Colt yet. That's the one that with the sneaky clowns and Trump president thing, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what I won't finish. But he did amazing. That's like 4 characters. That's crazy. I know. You keep telling me I should. I'm going to finish it. I just haven't done it. It's some clowns, man. I didn't know I was scared of clowns until I was like.
I believe you. It's all good.
I think it was the Trump that got me, though. It's like, this is how it's starting. I don't think it's that good. This isn't funny.
Give it a chance.
Huh?
Give it a chance. Let it go. Just like Freak Show.
I know. You know what? Freak Show ended up being one of my favorites.
Okay. I'm saying just get through it.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yeah, if I can deal with Dandy, I can deal with this.
That's my pep talk. That's all you get.
See what
you got this, Ree. You got this.
You gotta follow happiness, and you're okay. You can get to this. Oh, so all right. So we got through the 7 billion dead in 10 minutes is their whole goal. Though the first 10 minutes, they can wipe out 7 billion people. That 7 keeps popping up a lot. I kind of like that. I'm big into numbers, though. And you're right, Evan got jealous of Sarah doing so many characters. I thought that, too. I was like, he's trying to outdo her now. She only did 3 this season. But I'll tell you what, she owned them 3, didn't she?
You know what? No, her best character was Venable by far.
Oh, really? You think so?
I think so, yeah. I think she did a great job doing the no-nonsense Venable.
Yeah, no, I think this season, I think you're right. Because, Cordelia was kind of really weak. And I like her a lot.
I have it in my notes in all caps here. I hate Cordelia's whining. It's in all, I have that, I wrote it down because it bugs me so damn much every time I'm watching these episodes. I'm tired. Like Sarah Paulson, it's just annoying. I don't want to hear it. Come on. Give me something else.
And oh my God, when she was Billie, I thought she was hilarious whenever she was like the obedient bitch. And she was like, okay. Because Constant was like, she said something to her. I don't even remember.
But she does a good job with those. And it's very, look, you can say in a lot of ways it's very similar to Venable because it's more on the serious side and it has attitude to it. She doesn't play characters without an attitude very well. She plays characters with attitude extremely well. That's where she does it for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually seen her in a preview for a movie with Samuel L. Jackson called Glass that she looks kind of badass in. Just check out the preview. And yeah, she does it. She just does them characters a lot better.
Yeah.
The stronger characters. I don't, oh my God. No, I don't like the wine. And the Delia thing this season. Horrible. Now, Delia back in Coven, I could tolerate to an extent. I think maybe because we didn't see her as much, it felt like. But it just felt like she was just too in my face this time. I just wanted to slap her a lot.
Yeah, anytime she plays that whiny character in any of the seasons, it's just like nails on a chalkboard for me every single time. And it just makes my skin crawl and my hair stand up, and I'm just like, stop it. Stop it.
Now, speaking of, we get to see Delia and the girls back at Misty Shack. And they're talking about how Coco is the plan, basically. And Madison's like, what the hell? And now I'm going to bring up something really quick before we get into what they're doing and what the plan is with Coco, and ask, when we see Coco at this point and her whole interaction with Mallory, and basically her saying goodbye before they do this whole identity spell to set them in the way that we see them at the beginning of this season, how has your feelings changed towards Coco now that you see her as she is compared to as they make her?
It's what I wanted. It's what I wanted all along. I wanted to know that there was a reason that she was acting the way that she did. Remember, I've been saying that, you know, and to find out that they used Madison as a model for her new personality, okay? There was my reason. I'm happy. I'm thrilled because we got to see another side of Coco. But poor Coco now. Okay, so I've totally like done a 180 on her, okay? I feel bad for her now. I do, because they never believed in her magical ability. They only believed in her money this entire time.
Oh, see, and that's kind of how I was, but I thought it was also funny too. See, now I like Madison because she's just so, because she's Madison. I just like her, and I thought it was kind of funny too because they did use Madison as a model. So, and the fact that she was just such a bitch, and the way that she acted, and that was her model, I thought it was the perfect explanation for why Madison was like, remember me, and how she acted when they first resurrected her.
Yeah.
And I thought it just was wonderful. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And I thought she was so sweet, and just the way that she said goodbye and apologized in advance for just being a bitch to her, I thought it was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I love that whole best friend. Yeah, and she was going to take care of her. And I thought it was just, I loved all that. I thought it was, they couldn't have done it any better. It was the perfect explanation for why they were where they were, why she didn't remember doing what she did. And they even give us that flashback to Mallory with Michael and when she explodes back on him. And to remind us of just that raw power that she had, and she didn't remember it. She couldn't explain it then, remember? So that identity spell was working. So we know that what broke it was their death, right?
Yes.
I thought it was
I was happy with that. I was happy with that explanation, and it made me happier about the Coco character just in general, except that I started feeling bad because the real purpose of having her was, like I said, not her, witching abilities. It was literally her money, and that's what Myrtle made clear.
Right. So, yeah, it was her family name, her status.
Yeah.
Because
that poor girl, I do feel bad. I mean, she got shot by a tranquilizer gun, and
when she was the bait for Miss Mead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all that just for her money. Like, I started feeling like, man, she really did get like the short end of the stick, didn't she?
Yeah.
Poor thing.
And then stuck with Brock.
So you guys are hearing it first, and you're hearing it here. I'm okay with Coco now. We're good.
But Madison's still a whole other story.
Well, we'll talk about Madison later.
Right. Speaking of, whenever she goes to drop Coco and Mallory off, I like the whole comment about Coco having the Phil Spector look with her hair because Mallory won't put up the windows, which leads her right to Mr. Gallant's door where she first met Brock. Do you think that was a setup or no? I do. I think that was a setup. I totally think that was Mutt. And I think that he knew who she was and what he was doing. I think he was trying to get in there. I don't think it was a character.
Okay. So I don't think that they knew, because if they were under the identity spell at that time, there was no way that they knew.
I don't know. Just because of who they were with. I don't know. I don't know. See, now it's over.
I could see. Okay. No, I get you. I think that it's possible that was Mutt and Jeff. I think it's possible because they were in the same place at the same time, just coincidentally. Okay. But to me, I don't think that they had an idea of who Coco and Mallory were, because nobody else seemed to know either. And they are not magic, so they're not going to be able to see through something that they don't know is going to be there or used. And if Michael couldn't even tell, then, you know.
But Michael couldn't do anything. That's my point. They had to walk Michael through everything, so maybe they know something Michael don't. So that's my whole point on being leery, because they seem to be one up on him already. That's why I'm leery.
Uh-huh. That's never explained. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole and say that's, I mean, who knows? They could have been listening in or hacking or something in the background that wasn't explained, but I'm not going to speculate.
Oh yeah,
there's the unexplained. Yeah, that, I mean, maybe that would end up just being, you know, a plot hole then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now let's see. Now I like too that Cordelia used that whole powder and blew it in her face. Now we've seen that powder back in when Madison used it back in Murder House. So that's obviously something to do with memory going on there. I like the little comments that we heard before about what that could possibly be, being Madison was using it. So the fact that Cordelia used it, I just thought of that coming back up. And the fact that it was being used to turn her into somebody like Madison, you know, that was a nice little throwback.
Yeah.
Now this was the first time that we seen where Coco met Mr. Gallant also and told him, you know, I'm going to keep you now on retainer and pay you double. So did you think that this was the time when the end happened, or just whenever they first met before it happened?
Well, my wheels have been turning in the past few minutes, and it's becoming more and more likely that we are looking at Jeff and Mutt. Okay. And the reason I say that is because they wanted to live through this apocalypse as well. So why wouldn't they put themselves in a position to get to the outpost? And if Myrtle specifically mentioned Coco's name, I mean, they would have to know, being that they are somebodies, they would have to know who she was, not as a witch, but as a person in general, just her family affiliation, right?
As a Vanderbilt, they would know.
Exactly. So that would make sense to me. that we're looking at Jeff and Mutt, and you know, obviously one gets left behind and one gets to go to the outpost, and you know, sucks to be them either way because of what we know happened after that. But yeah, I mean, Coco was going to be their ticket too.
Right. See, you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a moment, but I again, with them knowing that they were witches, and Myrtle didn't indicate that they were witches either, and they had no reason to suspect that either. So I'm just saying, like, just in general, Coco was just basically there for her money, for everybody.
Yeah, no, exactly. She was even basically a pawn in everybody's game on this, you know. Her great power of counting calories and sensing danger, you know, everybody kind of used it, but she didn't really sense danger so well for herself.
No.
Or maybe she did, and that's why he didn't come along. If you think about it like that.
Could be.
Now, then Madison sees the sign on the bus and comes back and asks for permission to burn a witch because she sees Dinah Stevens has got her on TV show. So she wants permission to burn the witch. Myrtle's on board for this, says, I'll grab the gasoline, you grab the sticks, you know? Because basically treacheries happen. They've been betrayed by Dinah, and she's the one that let them in to destroy the coven. They find this out, that she sold her soul. Yeah, we kind of knew this betrayal was going to happen, though, right?
Yep, we had a feeling that that Dinah was going to be, you know, kind of now we had some different ideas about what she was going to do by the end of the season too, and that turned out not to transpire. But yeah, she showed herself to be the traitor nonetheless, and I don't know, did she really even have a soul herself? And I think that she kind of did. I think that she did feel bad for a moment, but I think she felt worse after, or as her fate was going to be determined later on the episode.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. I can't wait. I'm not jumping ahead till there. You're making me want to jump ahead. Yeah, I like the little comments that were made there about her too. I kind of wish they would have burned her ass though, but
Cordelia said no.
Yeah.
So there you have it, Cordelia.
And I like Brand says over here about Myrtle loves to burn people. She's got a weird obsession. She even asked to be burned. Well, she also said that there's knowledge in the flames and that she learned a lot when she was burned, and she came back with more knowledge than she had before. But when you think about it too, the witches are often associated with fire. Just like we had the warlocks and they had the snow. So I think that's probably why. Because of what she learned in the flames.
Mm-hmm.
And then that good old Louisiana mud helped her heal back real nice. And they mentioned that Louisiana mud here too when they pop back up later, right? So the girls go below ground.
Okay, so was it me or did it look like Myrtle's hair was in like a bunch of braids?
Yeah, no, it did. I thought.
Okay, so I wasn't imagining that. That really was the case. She had her hair in like a bunch of braids.
I thought about witches blooming first when I seen the arms coming up, I'm like, oh hell, we got zombies again. I can't do zombies again.
But you know, no. I was gonna say you called it, but that wasn't the case.
I know, right? I was like, I just can't do it. And then I thought about, oh, witches are blooming. They're in season. And that's I thought about, and then my head went to the Plants vs. Zombie that my kid plays all the time. So I was just all over the place with this one. So, and then of course, no, it was that good old fashioned Louisiana mud. So, but that kept them safe during the apocalypse. But they knew it was time to come up. Go ahead. They knew they had to go find their sisters. What did you think about all that when they came up?
So that Louisiana mud. Yeah, so that ended up being where the academy was destroyed, and they were basically under the rubble of it all. Now, what wasn't clear to me, because I only had enough time to watch the episode one time, what wasn't clear to me was, did they purposely dig themselves underground, or were they buried by the destroyed structure that was Robichaux's house? Because it looked to me like, you know, they were kind of reaching up, like, okay, we were buried under here, like they were standing or something. And maybe I don't know if they dug themselves down there for that protection or not.
See, this is what I thought. Okay. I thought back to the Coven season, and because they were at Misty Shack. They weren't at Robichaux's anymore. I thought back to Misty Shack and Coven season when Myrtle was actually buried in the garden whenever she was healing. And that's what I thought that they were doing now, that they had buried themselves in the garden because they knew what was happening and that they came up after. Kind of like they put themselves in a time capsule during the apocalypse until it passed, like the nuclear winter passed and it was safe to come up, sort of thing. Like they put themselves in a sleep. I kind of thought of like a vampire sleep, you know, like they just went to the earth to sleep until it was safe to come up for them.
Huh.
That's how my mind went. I didn't even think about it any further because that's what my mind did. That's a good question, though. I didn't think about them being at Robichaux's at all because they weren't there anymore. They were at Misty Shack.
Uh-huh.
Because, in fact, that's where they were whenever they were talking about burning the witch and all that. So they had been hiding out there after Michael killed all the other witches.
Because Cordelia's original vision had her outside of the school as it was destroyed. So I just thought, you know, I thought maybe if that goes along with her vision, which it didn't, it was different from her vision, but she was still in Louisiana. You know, were they purposely, like, did they dig themselves underground for that protection? And, you know, how did that all happen?
That's exactly what I thought, though. I thought that they dug themselves underground. See, okay, I've read a lot of Anne Rice, too, so I don't know if you read Anne Rice, but that's what I think of. And especially in Louisiana, that's what I think of. But I never even thought beyond that. But I did. I was thinking about when Myrtle was buried in the garden there, and Misty was watering all the plants, and she had kind of stuck, I think, her hand or something up then. Or peeked her eye out. It was something that peeked out. I remember that. And Misty like covered her back up again when she was healing. And that was exactly what it kind of threw back to me at that moment. Especially once I figured out that it was them and not zombies again coming up.
Yeah, I was kind of zombied out. And I was like, really? Come on. Ree was right. She can't be right about this. We're not going to have 3 times zombies in here. Come on.
You tell I don't watch The Walking Dead. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. Zombies don't do nothing for me. I'm sorry. I just can't. I try. I just can't. Now they felt it was time. We know that. They go to find their sisters. Sorry. They talk about how hard it is to be raised up and released from an identity spell all at the same time. Coco, she's ready to go fight. She says, I don't want to die again. So we're back to that spot. The witches have come into Hawthorne School again, raised everybody up. Dinah's like, I ain't trying to be in on this. And Coco's ready to whoop somebody. And Mallory's just lost. Then we find out the 7th seal's already been broken.
Yes.
Now that tells us wormwood fallen from the sky, rivers turn to blood and fire.
Right.
Fire and blood. Bottomless pit has been opened, and swarms of locusts and scorpions have ravaged humanity. world's going to be remade in his father's image. And he wants to get rid of all the witches still, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
But then he talks about how Cordelia, he's not surprised, you know, later on he says this, that he's not surprised that she's still alive, that she's basically like a roach, and he expected her to survive. Just so he could crush her now. What did you think about all that happening back? I mean, we got a lot of repeats of what we've already seen in past episodes. Come back, everything's just kind of tying back in.
Yeah, so I wasn't really thrilled about how this how the episode was going at this point, because it was so choppy for me. Michael made it seem like he planned for them to survive. And I don't know if that really is the case or not, but I don't know that he would have done anything special to keep them alive. And why would he keep all of them? If his purpose is specifically Cordelia, then he could have, you know, he could have made her the last witch, and let that be that. But I don't think that he had anything to do with it. You know, in a lot of ways, I feel that Cordelia, in her experience, she's able to best him in a lot of ways, just because of his lack of experience. But they have two different ways of going about things, right? His is kind of, it's dark in nature versus her, you know, light sort of magic. And she's able to just find ways to just be just a step ahead of him, you know, slightly ahead, maybe not even a whole step, maybe like a half step ahead of him. But it's enough to keep her going in this story. So, so with Michael's belief that he made it possible for her to be there because he basically wanted to be the one to kill her. That just, again, another contradictory statement, because his entire purpose for this apocalypse wasn't because Jeff and Mutt wanted him to, you know, to end the world and start over. It was because he just wanted to kill off all the witches. Well, like Cordelia said, you failed, Michael. You had one job and you failed. We're still here. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Cordelia. You're right on this one. He totally failed at that. The one thing he was put on the earth to do. He failed.
That's that childlikeness about him again, because to him, all of it was just to get at the witches. He didn't care about, oh, I'm ending the world or any of that, or what he was really doing. It was just about get back for him. And he would, because really at the end of the day, he was just being a spoiled child.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that, like I was saying, I still don't know that Michael wasn't at least partially innocent. Maybe that's the human aspect of him. I don't know. But, you know, and he wasn't surprised by Cordelia surviving. He wasn't surprised that's where he was at, what was going on. It's like he was waiting for it. But then, you know, like we were talking about before, he was surprised that Mallory was still around. You know, like there's one left. I can't believe there's one left. I thought I killed them all. So, and even then, if he was out sensing witches then, why didn't he sense them earlier? There's just stuff that's confusing to me, and I don't know. I just don't understand just certain points with, maybe it's just plot holes this season. I usually don't get plot holes with American Horror Story. I feel like there's a reason for the things that don't make sense this season that will come up later. I don't know. Yeah. Something that was really cool, that was probably my moment of this episode, and probably for you too, that we had, and it was Dinah's comeback. Like, just, yeah, bam. And that was when we had someone pop into this season. She would not.
I was all about it.
Oh my God. I like seriously jumped up. I ain't even joking.
Oh my gosh, you should have heard it. I'm surprised you didn't hear it from over there. Okay. Marie Laveau.
Yes. Oh my God. Angela.
That was awesome. And you know what? It's funny because she was mentioned this season.
I know. And she was. Oh my God. She did that.
We should have caught on to that. We should have.
No. Here's the thing. I kind of did, but I thought I was not that lucky. There's no way they're going to bring her. I'm not that lucky. That's just it. I thought they should have brought her on, especially after we had Papa Leg, but it didn't even matter. But period. You're going to bring in Voodoo. You're going to bring in Coven. You need to have her on there. And I just thought maybe she just didn't want to be on the season. Maybe she's busy doing that 911 show.
Yeah.
Maybe she just said, screw it, I don't want to. But no, when she showed up, okay, first of all, Dinah was just too full of herself and thought that she was that important, and she wasn't. And it was pretty much explained that Papa needed a better torturer, and who better than Dinah, because Marie's heart just wasn't in it. And so she got released by Papa when Papa made a deal with Cordelia for Dinah to take her place. And so we had Marie Laveau pop out, and of course she on Dinah, and yeah, so she stepped in, and
I have a lot.
This is badass as always.
I have a lot about this. I do.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no.
The deal wasn't what we thought it would be. Okay, it did have to do with Dinah. However, Dinah was the deal. Okay, we didn't anticipate that at all.
No,
that Dinah was going to be the trade-off, but that's what she gets for straddling the fence too,
right?
And she kept saying she was going to straddle the fence, and it did come down to someone had to choose for her, which I thought was great because I know we were thinking that one way or another she's going to have to choose. Well, inaction is still a decision, right? So she did choose, and someone chose her fate for her. And who better than the true voodoo queen herself, Marie Laveau. All right. And then Cordelia, because she didn't have, an active, she still had room to negotiate with Papa Legba. She through Marie, I guess. So that was kind of a neat thing. I thought for sure that that Cordelia was going to be done with Papa Legba. I know I was wrong in that, but there was still some room for negotiation if you find the right deal. And I know we talked about that. If you find the right deal for Papa Legba, then there is a possibility to renegotiate, which I know we talked about. And they found it. They found the right thing, and everyone was all the happier except for Dinah. That was great. I love that scene.
Oh, I do too. That was probably like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, right there. Just her coming back in, just the way she got her, and just all of that. That was just awesome.
That made the episode for me right there.
It really did for me too. I'm getting all excited just talking about it again. I jumped up. That was one of them come out of your seat moments. And it was. It made the whole season, I think. It was, that's Brand talks about, we had Constance, we had to have her. And we did. We needed Marie. It was like having Murder House, you had to have Constance. You can't have Coven and not have Marie. And it just made the season. It really did. It brought it all together.
Yep.
And it was the perfect way for the finale. And when we had Constance on the season finale too, that was great.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming at all. It was like they just went and brought in all the stops. They really did. I love the way that Marie, okay, she totally Gandalfed Michael too. I don't know if you caught on to that, but I did.
Yeah.
When she's just like, stay back. You shall not pass. I love that moment. And we had Coco come in with her little heroic moment. Madison went all Scarface. It was just a lot going on right then.
Scarface.
It was. It was just a lot going on.
Great.
I mean, and then of course, and then the whole Oberyn pop thing. And I know you love that moment because you finally got rid of Madison, and she knew it.
I was pretty thrilled. I knew that something was going to happen. I knew she was not going to be able to hold him off that way. Okay, that was just not. No, it wasn't in the stars.
and well, they were trying everything, and okay, I thought it was kind of interesting with the heart coming out of Marie.
You know how I feel about that, so we're not even going to go there.
Well, yeah, I know, right? Going through the stomach again. What is it with going through the stomach? That makes me want to like do some medical research. For real, like for real.
Yeah, it's like the bottom part of the rib cage where it kind of V's, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I always thought it makes me think
the
of
heart
like
is not as high as we think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so anymore. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's not.
Not after this. I mean, I've learned a lot of stuff about stuff I just wasn't curious about anymore, but that's the one that blows my mind because, yeah.
Back and watch Indiana Jones.
I remember Indiana Jones too, but I just didn't think it was that low. I always think of the scars going down the middle of the chest from the surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just messes me up thinking
because they have to go around the ribs. Yeah. You have to bypass the ribs in order to get to the heart, and the hand can't do it. So.
Right. And I know that, but now I just think about they're sticking their hand all up there. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so we had the heart go.
I know it's disgusting. Ew. Okay, I'm done.
It's just the way that each of them died. I think it's kind of interesting and then we had the whole popping with Madison. Now, okay, Coco stabbed him in the back, and he said normally that would work, but I'm not normal. Now that's just kind of funny because you see if you see a lot of American Horror Story, just merchandise and stuff, you'll see where it talks about normal people and stuff. I just thought that was a little funny. And yeah, he's definitely not normal, but it made me think about why would it normally work. And I thought it was funny that Coco's stabbing him in the back. It doesn't seem like something Coco would do, but it does seem like something Coco would have done. So now for it now not to work, I just thought it was funny because now she's back to being her. And then we just got the whole part where he comes up to Cordelia and he's kind of challenging her. Now, first, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. First, we have Mallory get stabbed by Brock in the stomach.
Yes.
Myrtle brings out that whoop ass again, and she sets his ass on fire.
Yes.
Goodbye, Brock. So basically, this was something I was curious. Did she just like vape him like Michael was vaping souls, or did she just burn him in general?
I think she just set him on fire.
Right. But that was something I wondered at this point where they're at. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And
it's her fascination with fire too. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
She just likes fire a lot.
It's a surefire way for someone to stay dead.
The surefire way.
Right? They do it in other shows. Wink, wink.
Right. Yeah. What kind of other shows? I don't know. Other shows too.
Wink.
Right. Myrtle is crazy, but she's good crazy. I like it. And she is though. And but yeah, and I'm stuck on the whole Mutt and Jeff thing with the guys. I really do think that they did kind of weasel their way in there under the assumption of other people now. I mean, just in a hindsight sort of way. And I just recently watched from Murder House up. Now I want to go back and watch from the beginning all the way through. Just looking at it that way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And looking at all the different memes, you know? You see them, it's just weird.
Yep.
Now, as quick as we got Marie back, we lost her.
Yeah.
Stabbed. She's not doing too good now, but Myrtle does get her to the tub with Michael's hair. I love the comment about where she's feeling the silk and all that. Oh, it's so silky. When she grabs his hair. And just all the interactions that he has with all the different witches on his way there. The HBIC with Marie, you know. And of course, when he snaps Coco's neck, I just want to say this. I had a Rice Krispie moment with the whole snap, crackle, pop thing.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's so morbid.
It just made me laugh a little because
you know how much I love those. Okay, I love Rice Krispie treats, and I was one of those kids. Not to go off on a tangent here, but I was one of those kids that would literally measure out a cup of sugar and pour it on my Rice Krispies in order to be able to eat those. Okay. And I would stir it until I had sugar milk and cereal. I love Rice. You just totally ruined it for me. Thanks.
No, you'll still eat Rice Krispies and you'll love them.
I probably won't for a while.
Just think about Coco. Just Coco Rice Krispies.
You know what? I am gonna make probably some maybe some Cocoa Pebbles.
Oh, there you go. See, they're close but not the same.
Exactly.
Oh. It did, though. It did. It just, I was like thinking, did the writers do that on purpose? Or is it just me? Oh, there's no telling. I'm telling you, my mind goes to like 20 different things. Who knows where it's going or why?
I can still eat marshmallows, you guys. So that's awesome. That's why, man, every time I see a Rice Krispie treat, though, I try to get one. I'll take it how I can get it, right?
Yeah, for real.
If I can't eat the cereal, I'll eat the Rice Krispie treat.
Oh.
Just so you know, I can't have milk, guys. That's why I say it the way I do. Is I can't have any dairy products right now. So that kind of.
You know what? I just sat there with a box of cereal and eat it, and just don't eat the milk.
Yeah.
She's thinking about it. Put your cereal in the freezer; it'll stay fresh forever. I'm telling you, it's so good.
Yeah, I've been reduced to cereal with soy milk, and it's not quite the same for me.
I'm allergic to milk. I can't have it, so that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try the almond milk too. My son loves that one.
I don't like nothing. I like regular milk. But I can't have it.
See, that's the spoiledness of our generation. We're like, no, it's not real milk. I can't have it.
We are totally on a tangent. Everyone go have a bowl of cereal for me and tell me all about it, okay?
Right. Take a picture of it and send her pictures of your cereal now.
I know. Yeah, that first bite is the best. Make sure you get that first bite in and send it to me.
Oh,
thanks, Rudy.
I know, right? Sorry. And thank Coco for it.
Gosh.
Now then, as we were saying, Mallory's in the tub with a strand of hair that Myrtle has liberated from Michael's head. And she's going to try and go back and stop it now. So what's really funny is she's kind of weak because she's been stabbed. So we have Cordelia finally get off her high horse, and she goes up against Michael, and she's having her little face off with him where he's talking about, I knew witches would still be around. Or at least Cordelia would still be around, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to bring up my little Dan Stevens remark from earlier, okay? This is where he's coming back in. That D. Stevens that I mentioned earlier was on the board for Outpost 3. Now, Cordelia says something to Michael about, you're just the son of Satan, right? And me and my sisters, we are Legion. So that's my little right there. Because Dan Stevens is on Legion, and that will be coming on really soon after Christmas on FX also. So, yay. That was my little geek out moment, and I really do think FX did that on purpose, especially after they do Dark Phoenix remark same night that the trailer drops. Yeah, they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that was my little geek out moment that I had there. When she said that, I was like, yeah. And then, of course, she takes the knife and she stabs herself and she finally falls. And now when she fell, did it remind you? She's finally invoking the sacred taking, giving Mallory the power. Did it remind you of the first sacred taking that we seen in Coven season when the witch, the Supreme, fell down the well? Did you get that same vibe back then?
You know, I didn't really think about it when I saw it. Like I said, I only had a chance to watch it once and not everything processed from the episode like that. But I do remember the sacred taking from the episode. And to me, it wasn't the fact that she did that. It was what she said to Michael before she took her own life. That was actually like that moment for me where she basically said he wasn't going to get any satisfaction in her death.
Yes.
You know? So I personally was deeply satisfied in that moment because he was not going to be happy about it. And he wasn't. She was right. But I was also happy that she spared us more crying and whining and just ended it all. Okay. I was at that point where I was just ready for her to just do it. And, I'm glad that she decided to just do it and didn't wait for Myrtle to come around and try to talk her out of it yet again in the last episode.
This should have happened 3 episodes ago.
It should have happened a long time ago, okay? You should have been gone, girl. Gone. And I was deeply satisfied in that moment, so I'm just going to bask in it. Okay. I'm basking.
Oh no, I loved it. I was so much it was going to. I was like, that bitch should have been dead, and she really should have. It was. I really do. I wish she would have been gone a few episodes ago, and she should have. I don't know why she was lingering that long. I just guess she wanted to hold on to that character a while or something. It really was. I don't know. It was hard on
I like that it was quick and dramatic too.
Yes, and it really did. It reminded me of her falling down the well, and then especially when it finally worked, and you see Mallory going down the water too. That just kind of like mimicked the whole well thing that we did see with Kevin, with the whole Supreme in Salem, because it did. It had her going down the well whenever she invoked the sacred taking. She did. She went down the well, and it shows her falling through the water. So we have Cordelia literally falling and landing at the bottom of the stairs there, and at the landing, and
circular stairs.
Then Mallory going through the water. So it was just really cool how they did it, and just the way the stairwell looked too. It just was really cool looking. And then you just see the utter disappointment on Michael's face, like it was that pouty child again.
Yeah.
And again, he just did really good at playing that part too. And then, of course, we see back at Murder House with Constance and Michael, and it's back whenever she catches him with the priest. Now, we've already seen that scene again, but this kind of extends it a little further.
Yeah. I thought, okay. I'm going to go here. I'm totally going to go here. I started writing notes, and it says, took strand of Michael's hair back with an arrow, and it said, before Michael was born. That's the part that I thought they were actually going to go back to at the murder house, was before he was born. Because to me, you would have to, stop the Antichrist and hope that, that would be their best bet right there of him not being able to be born, not being able to achieve anything. But they only went as far back as that particular situation where Constance was giving him the extended version of what happened in that bedroom, right? Where she kicked him out instead. Now, to me, Mallory left a lot up to chance, because she would have had to know that Constance was going to do that. She could have just eradicated Michael completely as if he was never born, right? But she didn't choose that moment. She chose a moment where Constance is mad at him and she kicks him out instead. And I was like, why? That doesn't make sense to me. Well, but I liked the way the scene played out nonetheless. But that moment just didn't really make sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me. This is what I came up with. One, they didn't want to show her killing a kid.
No, not that she would kill him, but to make it to where he was never born, where that wouldn't be that chance of him being born.
Like in preventing the Harmons from moving there or something.
Preventing Tate from impregnating what's her name?
Vivian, yeah.
Yeah. You know, something like that.
Well, see, to me, if that would happen, it just would have went on to somebody else, like we see later on.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have prevented it. It just would have moved it. You know?
And that's, yeah. So, and she even put that in her narration, right? That, that changing the past, you know, you don't really know what kind of effect it's going to have later on. And it ended up just moving it forward by a long while.
Right.
And it still happened.
Yeah, because all you really do is transfer energy. You're not
exactly.
You're just moving it.
Exactly. Yep. So you were right about a baby, though.
Yeah.
You called that one. There was a baby, just not the one we thought it was going to be necessarily. And when?
No, it wasn't.
It didn't turn out the way we thought.
I'll tell you, I wasn't exactly happy with how she went back and killed him. Because number one, I think she should have made sure that he was dead.
No. Okay. Can I talk about just a second? Because you mentioned like how she killed him. All right. So I hope everyone watched, but if you didn't watch, okay, you got to know that Mallory went back with a big old black SUV that the witches are known for. And she ran over Michael like a bunch of times. She went over him forward. She reversed over him. She went over him again in the middle of this. He wasn't even watching. He didn't look to the left and look to the right and look to the left again to see that this big SUV was going to come and strike him. He had no clue that a vehicle was coming toward him. I thought that was the cheesiest thing ever.
That's like, that childhood innocence again. He didn't even look at him before he crossed the road. I'm telling you.
Oh my God, why isn't he looking?
Because nobody told him to look before he crossed the road.
I think it was okay. And you know how people get emotional and they just kind of forget themselves for a moment, or they're just, you know, they're going off and their mind is still on what happened. I could see that, you know, and I could see it also being the age thing that Constance mentioned, that, you know, you're not my grandson. My grandson was like, you know, yay high and all of that. You're not him. You're something else. So I get that, but he was also caught in the moment, the emotions of it all. And he didn't hear or see this big old SUV coming toward him. And he got run over like 3 times. And he was basically, you know, like smushed on the inside. What a way to kill the Antichrist, huh?
Yeah, I want to say something else about that, too. When he was laying there, did you notice that he had the Black Dahlia smile on his face?
Yeah. Yeah.
He did. He was laying in the road. He had the blood up on his face, like the cuts of the Black Dahlia that he had done even. Remember, he was in the basement cutting her up the same way. And he asked his grandma, he wanted to be dragged to the house so that he could return to it. And she was like, no, ain't happening. Not so much. You can go straight back to hell. It ain't happening. He said, I want to be with you guys forever. She didn't want to do it. And she just left him. In fact, Mallory, she made eye contact with Mallory, and it was just like, yep. And that was
yeah.
They didn't say nothing. I was like, all right. And then Mallory drove over him again, because she did. She backed up, drove over him, and drove over him again. And yeah, no, that was kind of funny how he did go, but I don't know. I just wasn't satisfied because I don't know. I feel like she should have made sure that he was dead at first. Maybe she was down the road looking. Who knows? But
I just of all ways to kill the Antichrist, running him over with an SUV.
Great. Of all the different ways, I think that was a great way.
I was not happy about it. It almost seemed comical to me.
Yeah, no, it was comical to me.
And I was just like, no. And Branwick says maybe he wanted to die. I think he was in an emotional state, but I don't know that he wanted to die or anything like that. You know, I think he was just caught in the moment and didn't see the vehicle coming, and you know, that sucks for him. He got smushed.
Yes.
But like a cockroach.
Right? There's that cockroach again.
Right? So
then we see Mallory back at the house at Robachaw's. This time she's resurrecting a butterfly. This reminded me of the whole butterfly effect right here.
Yep. We talked about that.
Yeah, and she's talking about that all matter being made of energy and it's not destroyed, it's just transferred. This kind of makes me nervous in general. It just makes me nervous in general. So we see what's been going on at Robotron's now on this new timeline. Okay, she's the only one that remembers what's going on. It's like she's just arrived. She's meeting Cordelia. Cordelia kind of seems like she's familiar to her, right?
Yeah.
She meets Queenie. She tells her, don't go to that hotel. You want to find some place closer to the beach.
Yeah.
So we know that she's saved. We know that Zoe's alive still. And then Nan, we see her. She brings back Misty and tells us that she's staying with Papa. He's her boo. I really like that. I want to say that. I think Nan being with Papa is just the greatest thing ever. And just their whole little matchup is just, I think, wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
I do too. What do you think about what's going on there and with the witches? As far as, I mean, I'm not so happy about Zoe being back. I thought it was kind of interesting, just Mallory's intro to Zoe and the whole thanks storm back at her. I don't think we've seen the last of them for sure.
You know what? For your sake, I'm glad that Zoe just gave a smile, okay? Instead of like, didn't have any lines in that. So just for your sake, you know, the smile would have to do, and it was brief. So, you know.
We didn't see Coco though, did we?
We did not see Coco, and she purposely left Madison in her personal hell to sweat it out. I thought that was great.
Yeah, we'll leave her there a little while longer.
That was a great line. Yeah, she literally said that, you know, she was going to leave her there a little while longer to sweat it out in hell. So that means that she's gone to a place in hell where she's, you know, it's hotter and she's going to be sweating, right? Because we know that there are, you know, circles of hell that aren't quite hot, right? There's the icy rain and Dante's Inferno. But anyway, yeah. So here's the thing, right? And I call it the Back to the Future rule, right? Is when you try to go back and influence the future, you don't know what the future is going to be like because you changed it at a certain point, and you should kind of expect that it's not going to turn out how you think it's going to turn out. And, you know, like in Back to the Future 2, his mom is married to Biff and she's miserable and all of that. You know, things have a way of working out, but not for everybody, right? And I think that's kind of, I think that's kind of the thing that we had to keep in mind about this episode is what happens in the year 2020 is just that the Antichrist's birth is not prevented, but delayed. So
yes, and that is where we see the significance of Emily and Timothy. Now, here's my biggest WTF with that scenario. Okay, now with Michael, we know that he was born of a spirit and a person, and that was supposed to be the nature of the birth. So how does that work with Emily and Timothy? Where's the spirit there is my point. Is it something unseen we don't know about?
Well, that is an interesting thing, right? We don't know. It's not quite explained, but let me just throw this out to you real quick, right? So Timothy, let's go back to the first episode where Timothy was different from his brother, and his dad kind of considered him a little bit more special, right? And he was the one that was taken from his family to begin with. We don't get quite that explanation with Emily, except that she went to jail, okay, because she was an activist, and we know she was an activist now. We know why she was in jail for her activism. But for him, his history isn't quite explained. So to me, I kind of think that it's kind of the Tate thing where the father was the spirit, right? And if you kind of think of everything in this entire season, the father has been a spirit in every case, right? So Tate being a father, Satan being a father, Ben being a father, all of these people, all these men are spirits, spiritual fathers. There's the priest. Again, we're revisiting, these episodes. And I think that the spiritual aspect probably lies in Timothy's DNA more so than Emily's. That's my guess.
Huh. See, it made me wonder. My first thought went back to Roanoke again with Emily being that Emily. But then again, it's the whole
But she would be alive. That's the thing. She would be alive if that was the case. But Timothy, it's not quite certain.
Right. And if you bring up the whole where he did his ancestry, and he brings that up, I like the little tie-in with that about when he brings up, I'm 0.07% Brazilian or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that tied back into the first episode with ancestry tests there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they met, But yeah, but it still doesn't explain why his father knew he was special, Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the unexplained with him, and I think that in this case he is the spiritual father of that child.
Yeah, Brand says perhaps it could be the spirit of rebellion. Yeah, it could be something just metaphorical like that. Even not even just the spirit of rebellion, but he could be described as spirited or something like that.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder, though. But that's always been the case. It's been a spirit and person.
And we had that appearance of those Satanists again. You guys, we had a few people that were wondering about them, and there they were.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that Miss Mead popped up again.
I knew they were going to because of what was happening outside the house with the darkness and the birds and everything.
With all okay. Here's why I was wondering, though, because I was wondering what happened to them. We never got it quite answered where they disappeared to. Now, we know Miss Mead died, so I don't quite understand why she came back.
Yeah.
So that kind of left the whole, okay, I guess he just raised her back, you know, but the other two, they just kind of vanished. It never explained where they vanished to. There was just a lot of holes this season. And I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead. I guess we're kind of at this point now where we think this is going to lead us in the future seasons. And we still got 2 more seasons confirmed that we know of, 9 and 10. And I mentioned the Hotel Cortez earlier. I do think that the Hotel Cortez is coming up. I mean, we've had a lot of drops of it this season, here and there. We've seen it once already with the retrieval of Queenie. And we've even brought it up when we've been talking just about what we think's going on there and stuff and things that have already happened there. What do you think as far as what we'll see coming up?
So more crossovers. I think that's possible at this point because if they can continue to find, you know, original storylines and let's just kind of take a step back from it to begin with. There's a lot of YouTube videos and websites out there that have featured connections between all of the American Horror Story seasons to begin with. So it would make sense for them to capitalize on that, I think, and do as many crossovers as they can. I personally would like to see something original every season, but I think that they were pretty creative in how they did this season. Although I wasn't very satisfied in all with the final episode, and that's something that I was worried about. And I gave it, you know, my best possible chance to be like a stellar episode, but there were only a couple of moments that actually even made it for me. I feel like, you know, the ending itself with, you know, with the baby and the Satanist just kind of fell flat for me because that was going to be predictable because of what was happening in the sky. They're talking about the babysitter and everything. And it just, you know, it went back to Murder House for me. And
yeah,
I just felt like, yeah, I started getting that sort of vibe about it. And I was like, oh no, they're not going to end it like that, are they? And I knew as soon as they did that I was just not going to be happy. So, but as far as finding ways to cross over other seasons, that would be pretty neat. I'm curious about that, even though I'd really like to see, you know, independent seasons.
I think we'll still have our independent seasons, but I do kind of think that we are having the whole different levels of hell theory going on, and I think that they will kind of tie together. Which is why I think that we'll have Hotel Cortez back again, because I think that kind of is going to be our mouth, so to speak, or our gateway. And I don't think we'll see it full on like we did during the hotel season, but I think we'll see it as more of an entrance to get to a deeper level more than anything. But we're not done there. We've seen other little tastes of other seasons here and there. And if nothing else, just, you know, talk and discussions, you know, and how they do things during the seasons, you know, because they'll mention Briarwood or something, you know, it just comes up. And Lana Winters, I mean, she's been in Roanoke and Asylum now. Yeah. So, and that's why, but I just, and Pepper's been in a couple seasons. I just think that we're getting to the end game. I just think we're going to the deeper levels now. And I think it's going to get really crazy. And I think it's going to get really scary. But I think it's going to be I think we're going to see some new stuff that we haven't seen and that we didn't think we'd see, you know? Mm-hmm. But we just had to get to a point in the story because every season is different. Every season is a story in its own. You don't have to watch one season to get another.
Yeah.
But the way that they do weave together is just, it's beautiful. I mean, honestly, I mean, it's creepy as hell, but it's just how they do it is amazing. As far as this season, it wasn't my favorite. I'll say that. And I don't like how it all wrapped together. I like how it's just kind of, I don't know, it just could have been done differently, I think. Maybe when I go back and rewatch the entire season as a whole, I'll feel differently. But it just kind of felt a little all over the place. And maybe after our next season, I'll feel differently because more stuff will make sense. I just feel like there's a lot of plot holes. It's just a lot of plot holes. There's too much missing that I just feel like there should be answers to, and too much stuff that waited till later in the season before it started to unravel. And I don't know. And yeah, the ending, I just don't like the ending. It just kind of, the way it threw back like that. If they would have ended on the witches and just put the scenes in different order, I think it would have been better in how it went.
I would go further than that. I would say they should have left the story alone and started from the beginning to the end, instead of starting with the end and backtracking to give us the backstory, the history of it. That didn't work so well because I felt like this last episode was so rushed to try to tell the rest of the story and to try to go beyond the story. It felt rushed to me. And I wasn't happy with that feeling. I think that if they would have just, again, go from, A to Z in order, it would have been a much more interesting experience for everyone, instead of, giving us the bombs going off in the first episode. And then the placement of everything in the final episode was just, it gave me a headache.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we saw most of this, and then you're going to show us just this little tidbit to remind us, and then you're going to move on to this, and you're only going to give us like a few seconds of this before you move on. It moved on too fast to really give a person a kind of satisfying feeling. And I'm not to go back to a certain show where it seems like they're using, jets and time travel, and they're making things, happen in too short of a period of time, wink, wink. But this wasn't quite like that. I don't feel that they used it that way. We know that American Horror Story has a tendency to jump around in some parts, but this entire story just jumped around a bit too much. And
I agree.
I didn't like it. I wish that they would have just started from the beginning, and then lead up to the apocalypse, and then after the apocalypse, it would be a much better story. It's still the same story, but you got to show it in the right order for it to have that impact that you want. And I just don't think it had the same impact for me.
Well, I agree. And then like questions we had, like, okay, is Mutt and Jeff Brock and stuff like that about different characters? Even we wouldn't question that stuff. Because it brings in a lot of confusion, and just like with the different needs and where she at, and I mean, and I expect to question some of this, and I like to question some of it, but it becomes a headache after a while of trying to figure out just what the hell is going on, and okay, I mean, I get some of it, and then them wanting to do reveals and flashbacks and stuff later on, that's great, but when it's everything and everything's out of order and I'm trying to figure out, wait, what? And I have to go back to figure out when was that, and it was the first episode, but it's really the last episode, and it's too much.
It's like Pulp Fiction, right? And you, like, you actually you easier time. Let me tell you this, okay? You have an easier time figuring out the timeline in Pulp Fiction than you do this season.
I wonder if that's what he was thinking, like if he was just in that sort of mind when he wrote this.
I don't know, but I love that movie.
I do too, but
it took me a while to figure out the timeline, but it still made sense. But it had impact too. What's missing for this season is that just impact, that wow factor of, jumbling the story. It didn't quite do it in the right way that Pulp Fiction did.
Right. And yeah, there was no glowing box at there. So yeah. It just wasn't Pulp Fiction.
No, just another baby that kills a babysitter. I mean,
yeah.
Gee whiz, you gave us that ending before.
Right. It's right back to where we started. Just a different kid now. Same thing, different kid. This one's got two parents around now, and now we're more confused because it's got two parents around. So yeah. And it is. I mean, and okay, and it's one of the things because I love the acting so much, but just this season, all of its own. I love all the crossovers. I love the fact that we went back to Murder House. I feel like I got some closure there finally. It only took 7 extra seasons to get it.
Right.
I love that we got to see just Coven again, just that they brought them back again. I mean, this is like 2 of my favorite seasons. So, yeah. And, I mean, the only way we could have made it any better is to bring Freak Show in there or something, I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing something. That's all. I just feel like I'm missing something. Like I said, maybe next season it'll feel like I just have that little extra, that little something I was missing, and I'll feel complete, and all this will be better. But right now, I just have a hole. There's a hole in my heart.
It shouldn't have been so easy, I think, too.
That's exactly. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think Mallory is on the up and right now because it was too easy, and just the way that her power seemed to soar before with that first interaction with Michael, and then she was talking about being Dark Phoenix. Okay, Dark Phoenix. I'm going to tell you about the Phoenix Force a little bit here for anybody that don't know. Phoenix Force, when you're imbued with it, can either be for like the greatest good or the purest evil. So we've seen the greatest good with her. Well, when it's the Dark Phoenix, that's when she's like the purest evil. So I'm kind of worried about Mallory and her future. And I don't think it's necessarily all good. And after we've seen all that come out of her and Michael asked her what she is, I still don't think she's necessarily all that good of a witch. And I don't believe it. It's just, I don't trust it. And
that is what was so unsatisfying is we see all this power come out of her toward him in their interview. And then she runs him over with a car.
Right. It's
okay.
It's
like
there's
oh man, I wanted to believe that we were going to get like an awesome end to this story. And no, it didn't happen. It did not. Sorry, guys.
It's left unsatisfied completely. So yeah. I don't feel like we're done with her. I don't feel like we're done with what she is, and I don't think like I said, I don't think she's just a witch. And that whole plot. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done with Hotel Cortez. I truly don't believe that. Like I said, there was just little clues everywhere. First of all, Mallory is aware of it and what it is and warned Queenie off of it. The belt buckle, Venable, just little Easter eggs everywhere about it. And okay, come on. Mallory's talking about that demons owing her favors too, and that's what helped get Misty out of hell too. So, come on.
I could see that being the case, and it would make sense to me if they did a deeper crossover with Hotel. But here's the thing, right? Like they left it wide open with that little kid sitting in the chair. Now, to me, I'm wondering already, like, okay, what is, if any, connection is this kid going to have with the hotel then, right? Because if he's just taking the place of Michael and he was going to happen anyway, then you still have to have the Antichrist at some point, and you still have to have Mr. March, you know, kind of bowing down and saying, you know, you may want to listen to, you know, this guy over here, because, you know, he's pretty, you know, and I feel like, okay, we were going to have that anyway, right? Again, if not Michael, then somebody else. That's the moral of the story here, I guess. Is it's prophesized, like Bubbles said, right? You're prophesized. It's going to happen. You were going to happen, you know? Not him, Michael, but just the Antichrist.
Right, right. They knew.
So Bubbles was right in that moment, for sure. And everyone who said, you know, it's a prophecy, we got to keep in mind, well, duh, just because Michael dies doesn't mean that it's over, you know? Because it wasn't over, and it's still not going to be. But I could see there being that strong connection to the hotel, and I'm kind of hoping that if they're going to do a deeper dive into any other season, that would be a really good one to go into, especially if you were going to continue this particular storyline in some way.
Well, when Mallory was talking about that, she had basically demon buddies now too, because they were all, nobody likes their boss, essentially, is what she said, and they were all glad to be rid of him. And now we got this new little kid. We know that he's going to grow at an accelerated rate, just like Michael did, and he's about the same age that Michael started shooting up, right?
Yep.
And it's only been 3 years past, or 4 years past, because we had the 1 year pass and then 3 years past. So 4 years past. So we're in 2024 now. Because it was 2020. So yeah, 2024 now. So that's where we're at. To me, where I think we're going, what next level it would be on a level where we're going to see Mallory and some demons. And she's going to, I mean, I would think she's going to be calling in favors. I think we're going on a deeper level of hell next. And the way to that level would be through the hotel. Cordelia's already been there. She's already encountered March, even though she don't remember it now on this timeline or whatever. Because like you were saying before, we're on a new timeline now.
Yeah.
But she's already dealt with them. And there brings the question, does March remember it? Even though he's on a different timeline too. Does he remember the other timeline? Does he know what happened?
I think he would. He
transcends. He would too.
He's one of those people that transcends time.
Right. And see, that's what I think too.
He's a ghost.
Right. So to him, it's just, he's just there. It doesn't matter.
It's just a collection of people and memories.
They're coming and going on a totally different realm. Right. Yeah. See, this whole season just leaves me more questions of what'll happen.
But maybe it was meant to be unsatisfying because they are planning to do that particular crossover, which relates back to the story.
Well, that's what I think. That's what I do think, really. And also, too, because why they brought in Hotel for just that little bit. Because for it being a crossover and for them to bring in Coven so much and Murder House so much, and them just to kind of tease in that little bit, you know? Because, all right, with other seasons, and we've seen tie-ins like between Asylum and Freak Show, you know, they kind of relate between the Pepper story. And then, like, with Roanoke, we have the tie-in between, like we were saying, Lana Winters and stuff like that. So we do have tie-ins with other seasons, but they're either there or they're not there. So for it to be kind of teased like that, it just seems like it's leading to more. Why just kind of go over it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just... Yeah, it is. It's just like the X-Men Days of Future Past, where only the person travels knows, which is kind of the problem. That's kind of why we're wondering what's going to happen because of it. Now, all right, they're talking about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. Now, I don't know if you watched it, Stacey, but it made me think a lot of
Just like I wrote to Marie, no new shows for me. I try not to.
Well, there was a lot of the Church of Satan in the new adventure, or the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I heard it got a lot of crap because of it, because it was just really dark, and Sabrina was really dark in it. And yeah, hit me up if you want to talk about that, because I got stuff to say. Yeah, it was very interesting. I will say Salem the cat did not talk, so anyone that was expecting that be disappointed. I think he will in the second part, though. Speaking of, where we were talking about, and we had Anthony LaVey pop up in this one as the Black Pope or whatever. And I talk about the different crossovers in my shows, the different shows on, and I watch a lot of random stuff. So, but I watch Ghost Adventures on Travel Channel. I watch a lot of Travel Channel. But on there, they went to a house a couple weeks ago called the Westerfield House, and they were actually talking about that he used to stay in that house, and he had a lion up in the tower. He had a pet lion that used to stay there. And they talked to a guy that used to shoot movies with him or something, some filmmaker guy. And he was like 90-something years old that used to hang out with Anthony LaVey. But yeah, he had a pet lion up in this tower at this house. It was really creepy. If you like Ghost Adventures, check it out. It was a couple weeks ago. But I just thought it was really interesting because we got him popping up on American Horror Story, and he's popping up on this other show. It's just crazy. Anything else you want to say as far as this episode or this season in general, man?
So you said Westerfield House, and that name just kind of rung a bell for me all of a sudden, and I decided to look it up. And there's a website called murderpedia.org, and it says David Westerfield, Murderpedia, the Encyclopedia of Murderers. And David Westerfield was sentenced to death for the kidnapped murder of Danielle Van Dam, a 7-year-old.
And see, they didn't even say anything about him.
So that's how you guys get my brain going sometimes, guys. A single word or something will set, like, wait a second, that rings the bell. Yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I work. But yeah, you guys, I try to limit the number of shows, and my life is about to change and be very busy pretty soon. So I'm probably going to transition back to a certain show back in April of 2019 that we're all going to be so interested in. No, I'm still trying to finish Portlandia. I love that show. It's so funny to me. I like skit stuff, skit comedy.
I love comedy.
I like that. It's funny. I didn't know about it at first, and I was just like, whatever. I waited like a bunch of seasons to watch it, but it's pretty funny. I watch, well, you guys all know I watch Game of Thrones too. I watched this. I watched South Park like you wouldn't believe. I've been watching it since like the first season, so that's like many years of my life that I'll never get back.
That's how I am with Family Guy.
Family Guy, yeah. I you know what? I stopped watching it after the death of Brian, and I know that, Brian's not dead, but
yeah, I did that with South Park with Kitty, and it just hasn't been the same. I'll watch South Park every now and then, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really take up too many shows until one just completely ends. And plus, I don't want to get really into a series. Oh, I used to watch Once Upon a Time before that kind of fell to pieces.
Yeah, I stuck with it till the last season, and then I was like, what are they doing? And I finished it because I felt like I had to. But
yeah.
Yeah, only because I was committed at that point.
And then they had the spin-off, the Alice in Wonderland. It was only like one season, and that was just it was really like it wasn't cast very well, and I just it really fell flat. But I try to watch different things. But there's just so many series out there that I just can't keep up, and I just don't have a whole lot of time. So
well, when you get time, check out Legion. It's on FX. There's season 1 out on Hulu. Season 2 will be out on Hulu like this week probably.
There's
and it's really
so
good.
Many, oh my gosh, like superhero things. As much
this
as
is like next level though. I'm telling you, this is like
guys, seriously,
you don't even know.
I love, Marvel and DC and everything, but like for me, I can only do so much. I'm limited to watching just the movies, and I watch them so late after everyone's already like talked them to death that I just, like the only one that I watched, I think in the theaters was it was Captain America, whatever, and the Winter Soldier. And that was a long time ago. That's the last time I saw one while it was still in the movie theaters. So I'm just really far behind on everything.
Captain America kind of was like, I didn't really like him so much when he was at first. And then he got better. And I really like Captain America now. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But no, I'll talk about some Marvel.
No, he's my favorite. And well, Chris Evans, I guess he's not coming back, huh? So.
Well, no, watch. You need to watch some Marvel.
I hope so. And then I realized he was part of Fantastic Four before he was Captain America. Did you not know that?
You need to watch. Me and you need to talk about some Marvel sometime, honey. But listen to me. Seriously, okay. Now, see, you're talking about regular superhero TV shows, though. Legion is different. Like, Legion is totally different. Like,
I won't watch until something ends. So, like American Horror Story, or one of them has to end for me to pick up something new. Just because I really don't dedicate that much time to watching a bunch of shows, I barely have time to watch movies.
I want to just say that real quick.
I know. I would probably like it, but again, I'm one of those people that like I'll start seasons in and I'll start from the beginning, and I'm way behind everyone, and eventually I'll catch up.
That's a good way to watch movies and TV shows.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like Game of Thrones, American Horror Story. I waited until we were like seasons upon seasons down the road, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll start watching that.
I wish I did that more, because then I wouldn't be so psychotic in between seasons going, when's it going to start? Like I've been doing right now, Game of Thrones. Yeah. And I've been with that one since the beginning. And yeah, it's been consuming.
So I keep promising people that I'm going to start on Westworld eventually.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if I actually will, but I just might. So you guys can keep like reminding me, hey, once American Horror Story ends in like 2 seasons and Westworld is still going, then you guys can remind me to pick that up too. So
let me tell you how much I like. This is how much I seriously, I love both them shows. I love Legion and I love Westworld, but I like Legion better than I like Westworld.
Yeah.
That's how good it is, though. And I'm saying that based on TV show, not just based on content. Mm-hmm. I it's a good damn show. It really is. And just the fact, if because this is essentially a schizophrenic mutant who can warp reality, and he's Professor X's son. I know you know who Professor X is from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From X-Men.
I follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And David can do anything. I mean, he can create a universe. He can destroy a universe. He can do whatever. And he can do whatever. He can do anything. And to know what he can do and think about the fact that he's crazy and he has all these different mutants living in his mind, and then to watch it and know what you know about him like just watch a little 10-minute video and find out who he is on YouTube, and then watch it. And it's just brilliant. The fact that we're at that day and age that they can make this TV show about this character, and that Dan Stevens can play him. Oh my goodness. We're going places. I mean, he's really good. And I will talk too much about Legion, but just really check it out. It is that good. It is that good. Yeah.
It'll be a few seasons before I reach back to
We're
anything
going on
else.
season 3 though. We're going on season 3 in February. So at the end of season 3, I'm gonna be like, hey Stacey, you need something to watch. So
I know. Everyone keeps telling me like, oh, watch it, especially like the Westworld world, right? Whatever you guys call yourselves out there. Like, you guys are always telling me, oh my gosh, you should watch, you like Game of Thrones, you're gonna love it. Like,
I get that, and I love what I really do, and I can sit here and analyze it and get way into Westworld, especially being into Game of Thrones. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
I like how American Horror Story is kind of getting into the theoretical. Before, like with it being an anthology series, if you will, you couldn't really get into the theoretical too deeply because you only had so many episodes to get theoretical before you moved on to something completely different the next season.
Yeah.
So there's always a resolution, you know. I feel like it's finally giving us that opportunity now to jump into the theory part of it in a deeper way than it has in the past. So that's something that I can appreciate this time around. So I'm looking forward to the last 2 seasons, and you know, maybe we'll do this for 2 more seasons, huh?
Right. And see, that's me, because it did it finally. And I love them rabbit holes. I love them tinfoil theories. I love it. And that's my problem with Westworld, because I like to kind of go a little deeper, I think, than most people do. And not everyone's on the same page as me always. And I want to do that with Westworld. And I don't think everybody does it like I do. And that's exactly what we could do this season with American Horror Story. We're finally to that point where we're tying stuff together. All these separate little seasons that we've had are finally starting to mingle with each other, and we're seeing stuff on a deeper level. We can start doing these crazy theories. We can start thinking stuff and seeing stuff on a different level. And even the whole Dante's Inferno thing, it's making sense. It's like, okay, I can see this, you know, even if that one doesn't hold true and it fits in a different way, because we've thought about it on a level of all of the circles fitting in for different seasons, different characters, all on one season, you know, I mean, just so many different ways. So just to see where it's going, it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait. And like we were talking about, Game of Thrones is coming out. I cannot wait to talk about Game of Thrones. It's on with Game of Thrones now. Like, seriously, someone wants to hit me up. Because
just what Brand was saying, like there's not even really an opportunity to move on from Game of Thrones because of the prequels and the books and
we got Fire and Blood coming out this week.
Right, it's still coming out our way. So
right, and by the time we stop talking about Fire and Blood, sort of, when we slow down talking about Fire and Blood, then we're going to have all the trailers coming out. So then everybody's going to be analyzing all the trailers. Then it's going to be time for the show. And then when the show's done, and by the time that starts to slow down, then we'll have something else again. Or they'll be dropping trailers for the new prequel or ideas for it. But it's not going to end. And then we're going to get the prequel. Then we'll finally eventually get Winds of Winter, maybe sometime eventually. Who knows? And eventually some Dunk and Egg. But yeah, it doesn't end. And that's what's great about Game of Thrones. So yeah, I'm ready for Bring On Fire and Blood now. So yeah. And I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that, you know, that people want us to tackle? Maybe that's one way to get me into something that I wouldn't ordinarily watch. because I'm really picky about the things that I do watch. So, I mean, never mind South Park, you guys. I mean, I'm, because I've been watching that from like, the longest time and everything. And I need a break from all the, the theory and, deep dives and everything. So that's kind of like my, comic relief and everything. I love that show to pieces. They're just so funny, those kids, man. They're gonna be kids forever, right? But maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something that I might be able to get into, and we could probably find something else to look at in the meantime.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I watch everything, and I am down for to watch anything. I just started watching. That's what I was saying in the chat. I just started watching Legacies, which I just realized was on. And shame on me because I should have paid better attention to the TV. But I have cable along, so bear with me. But I didn't even know it was on, and then I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's like the originals and Vampire Diaries, but they're kids, and. Yeah, and I watched the originals and Vampire Diaries from day one, and like obsessively. So shame on me. And yeah, but I was pretty happy to see Lark back, and I probably won't get to see anyone I want to see on this show. I don't expect to, but I'll watch it just for the possibility of. And yeah, but yeah, I watch a lot of just random shows. I'll watch anything. If someone tells me it's good, I'll watch it just because. I'll watch something just because. I don't even really need a reason. It's like, oh, what's this? And then I like have my shows that I've been watching for a long time. Like I don't know, like I watch like Curse of Oak Island and stuff like that, which is like they're for real treasure hunting up in Canada and have been for a long time. So if you're into like archaeology and stuff like that, speaking of, this is kind of cool. But someone I've known since high school is doing a TV show. I don't know what they're doing, but they're filming something in Iceland right now for the Science Channel. And I just thought that was really cool. Which, okay, now let me be a little more specific. They're an archaeologist. So, and everything that they've done has been here in Florida for like, they do a lot of the Spanish settlements here. So, number one, what the hell is he doing in Iceland is a good question. But it's like really hush hush until it comes out on the Science Channel. Like nobody knows. But I'm just really curious. I just thought it was really cool that like my friend from high school is going to be on the Science Channel. But hey, keep an ear out because I'll tell you guys about that when it happens. Oh, I heard about the Outlander over here. I'm behind on that. Yeah, I need to get on that one. I haven't been watching because it got on my nerves seeing Edmure Tully so much. So I'm like on season 3, a little behind there. And yeah, because that totally is Edmure, and he just bugs me. It really does. And I love that show. It was like so good, and I just can't handle him. I really can't.
So you're talking about series and other projects from other characters, but what sort of projects are there out in the big vast wide open? What are these American Horror Stories actors and actresses going to be working on? Other things that, like we know that Angela Bassett is in 911, and that one's doing pretty well. So
Sarah Paulson's doing that Glass movie, which is that's a comic book one there, and it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it, and it looks really good.
I like Samuel L. Jackson, so
I know if he's in it, I'll watch it just because he's in it. I don't even care what it is because he's just
don't even start, man. You tell me it's Samuel L. Jackson, like when he narrated Game of Thrones.
Yes, in 5 minutes. I know, that's like my favorite. I watched that every now and then just because.
That was funny. So I mean, but what else? Who else has projects that they're working on? Because
that's a curious thing. I'm wondering about Evan Peters because I bet he's got something. Let's look.
thought I saw him in something else not too long ago.
Oh, he's doing X-Men.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. With what's her name? So,
Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, but there's someone else in it too.
Sansa.
No. I know her, but someone else. Who else, guys? Remind me.
He's in something called American Animals and Posse.
Okay.
Poise? I don't know. Is that Poise? P-O-S-E? Or yeah.
Pose.
Pose? I don't know.
So he's got a couple things going on. Who else?
Oh, so I can't type right there.
I didn't watch Sarah Paulson and the O.J. Simpson thing, and that's only because I am O.J. Simpson out. Okay, I'll let you guys know that from the get-go. Like, I wasn't gonna watch it anyway because, number one, I remember when it was on TV, and I remember how it dominated television, and number two, I'm O.J. Simpson is like a thing out here in my world in real life too, so I just have no interest in ever watching that. So just saying, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, that OJ got old really quick. You know why I didn't watch it? Because and this is really stupid, but her hair bugged me. And I remember Marcia Clark, and Marcia Clark's hair bugged me. And it was like, you know what? I remember it the first time. I don't need to watch the movie. So I never even bothered. And I know she did really good supposedly or whatever, but I just didn't care. I was like, yeah, I didn't like Marcia Clark to begin with when it happened. So I was good. I was like, she just irritates me. I don't want to see that haircut again. And I know that sounds really bad, but yeah, it just bugged me. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like fandom. Yeah, I haven't seen the O.J. Simpson either. Yeah, I mean, anyone who remembers it back when it actually happened, like, why would you really even watch it anyway?
I remember watching him when he was racing down the highway and going, damn, where's OJ going? What do you do? Just kill somebody? Oh, damn, he did. And then I'm like, for real, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, so that's like the kind of things I'm not gonna watch is that kind of stuff that's just, it's too clear, and it was too much of the American conscience back then, and it still dominates our conscience in some way, shape, or form, even now, so many years later. I was a teenager, guys, you know. I remember it very well, and I would rather not revisit those days.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Speaking of some stuff going on with the other actors, Frances Conroy, Myrtle, she's got some cool stuff going on. That TV show Castle Rock, the Stephen King one, she's actually on that. We know that she was on American Horror Story.
Isn't that the name of his production company or something like that too?
Oh, Stephen King's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it is actually. She's on that Young Sheldon TV show, and on
I didn't know that. Okay.
James versus His Future Self, which is in post-production right now, and she's also, this is the big one I'm excited for, she's in Joker, which is filming right now. That's the new Joker movie that's out, and they're doing it. I'm still conflicted about the whole Joaquin Phoenix being in it. But
he's moody enough to pull it off, though.
Yeah, okay. And see, I see that, and that he's got the whole crazy thing down. So yeah, okay, he'll be a good Joker.
Well, yeah, he's nuts. But anyway.
But I just don't. Oh man.
Remember when he was going to be a rapper?
Yes.
You remember that?
Oh,
Who remembers that?
See, and this is another thing. I got Joaquin Phoenix issues, and I love the Joker. Like, he's like probably, I don't know, he's up there. It's a toss-up. Well, I think I love him more than Dr.
The
Doom.
backstory of the Joker.
That's something I would be. I do. I think I love him the most. Like, he's my favorite villain, I think, probably ever. I really do think.
I could. Yeah. I think I might actually see that. I don't know if I'll see it, you know, on time, but I think it's one that I am going to watch because I'm interested in the backstory for sure.
I just now broke down like the night before last and watched Solo because I was scared that they were going to ruin Han Solo like they ruined The Last Jedi.
I still haven't seen that.
I've seen every Star Wars movie at the movie theater, like everyone. I just now broke down and seen this movie. It wasn't that bad, by the way. It was a lot better than The Last Jedi, but I just hold grudges like that, and yeah. Now, if they ruin the Joker for me, then I might be stalking DC or something. It's just not okay. No, I'll stalk Joaquin Phoenix.
You know what? And I don't know how many other people are going to feel this same way. I don't feel like the DC world is nearly as interesting as the Marvel universe. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe it was when they decided to use Ben Affleck. I have this mental block with Ben Affleck. Like I don't know. Oh God. I said it. Yeah.
He's not gonna be Batman no more. They got rid of him.
Good.
Superman's gone. They casted him, so yeah, it ain't happening anymore.
So for me, you know, Batman is, you know, obviously Adam West, right? But then I think that Michael Keaton pulled off a pretty damn good Batman too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, all right, I can do this. I can hang. And then yeah, from there it just kind of went like you know, don't get me wrong, I like Christian Bale. I like, you know, but as no.
Yeah, Christian Bale was the first one that it was like, no, he's just wrong.
Yeah. So I just to me he's an American Psycho, and like that's cool. Like I'm good with him. Like they're crazy.
Yeah, but not Batman. Oh no.
Yeah, but no. So after that, it just kind of like
I sleep with Batman every night.
You know, when they start changing on the actors a little too much for me, I just kind of like James Bond. You guys, I love James Bond movies. Okay,
Connery.
All right, and what I like about it most is that they try to keep the same actor for as many decades as they can, and they try to fit in as many movies as they can into those decades without overwhelming everyone. And I love just James Bond in general. But man, like, who comes next after Daniel Craig?
They like have one every generation.
I know, but I just, and I know that there have been some, you know, some speculation on people and everything. And I'm not set on somebody, but I didn't really like the idea of Daniel Craig at first. And just on that same note, whatchamacallit?
We're not
like yeah, the Bourne movies, right? Once they changed out the actor from Matt Damon, I'm just like, seriously?
Yeah, you don't want to watch.
I'm not a Matt Damon fan.
No,
but I liked him in those movies.
I think those were probably my favorite movies with him in it. Unless you count when he played Loki. You know when that's from then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice little cameo right there.
Aren't they supposed to have a Loki movie or something? too?
Actually, Loki's going to have a TV show. I've seen
that's what I
on the Disney streaming channel. And Scarlet Witch. I was trying to remember who the other one was. Scarlet Witch is going to be the other one. Yeah.
So, not that we stopped.
Out if he's dead in Infinity War.
Not that we've stopped talking about American Horror Story completely here, but you know, I mean, as far as talking about like what's next, right, guys? Because that's kind of where I'm at. Is like, okay, well, what's next now? You know, I'm just curious to see, what's out there and what I might be interested in.
We need to get Stacey into the MCU.
You guys, I know. It's going to take a lot, though, guys. It's going to take a lot to get me on a new show because I don't pick them up. I'll pick up like one new show every few years. That's how far behind I am. So, and Portlandia ended. So once I finish watching the rest of I have 2 more seasons to watch. Once I finish that, I can pick up a show.
Maybe we need to put a poll on here and see what you should watch next.
Yeah. Try to get me into something that you think I would like. So now that you guys have heard me talk about some of the things that I do, maybe you guys...
I say my Legion. I really do. And I watch a lot of different shows. I don't know. If I think of anything else, I'll tell you. Tell me what you're in the mood for.
We'll see. We'll see. If I can binge Portlandia over the holidays, then I might be able to pick up a new show by the new year.
Oh yeah, that'd be just in time for the new season too. Because we got new season of Legion starts in February. And now if you want one that's like about to end, like it's their last season, then I'd say, and it's funny, I'd say you're the worst. They're going on season 5 and it's their last season and it starts January 9th. Yeah, Vikings is really freaking good.
That one's been going on for a while now, too.
Yeah, we're like going in season 5 now, but actually season 4 was divided into part A and part B.
No end in sight, right?
No end in sight. Not that I know of. I haven't heard of any end. And we're about to start like next week.
It's like going downhill, though, right? I mean,
no. Like Ivar the Boneless is like, I won't even.
I could probably get into
He's
that.
going strong. I highly recommend Vikings. I'm glad you said that, Rand, because I wasn't even thinking about that. See, I'm just stuck on Legion now, but yeah, it is freaking amazing. Vikings is. There's another one that's kind of like the flip side of Vikings called The Last Kingdom too. It's like from the English point of view of what was going on. And it's a little different, but it's similar. I don't think it's as good as Vikings or close, but it's still a good watch.
So you guys they think Vikings.
Yes.
You know what? That's one of the shows that I've been curious about, but just didn't start it. And then I started watching Portlandia instead, and I got stuck on that for like how many? Like 8 seasons. So
yeah, we got main characters on Vikings that are changing. That's what's happening.
Oh, there's always something, guys, and that bugs me. After you get used to a certain person playing a certain character for a long time, and and maybe they're a major character and then they change them up, like that to me that's not good. I don't like that.
Vikings is
if they're a major character.
Yeah, awesome.
If it's a minor character, kind of like what they do in Game of Thrones with with Bloodraven, I mean, that you hardly notice that, or with Tommen, right?
Well, it's stuff that you would expect to happen because nobody lives forever. It's Vikings. I mean,
I could see like if they reused characters for another character down the road, but a completely different character where they don't look anything alike, don't sound anything alike, then I could probably be okay with that. Well, but I don't like it.
For other people to take their place is how I would say.
Yeah.
One ruler must die so that someone else can rule.
Maybe. You know what? If I get to binge watch the rest of the couple seasons, then I might start doing that then. Because I have been meaning to start that one. Above a bunch of other.
Oh yeah, no, and I do. I recommend. I really do. I really do. They got me excited about now. I kind of want to watch it just because I watched it in a minute. I need to just go watch it just because I want to see Ragnar. And I love Ivar. Okay, I'll tell you right now. I love Ragnar. I love Floki, and I love Ivar the Boneless. Those are my 3 favorite characters on there. Well, I get this really badass. She's an awesome chick, and yeah, and I like her owl. She's got a really cool owl. But yeah,
what they're saying here is that that they're generational. The kids grow up. The different actors play. It's like a soap opera. How they never end. Soap operas. I can't watch soap operas. Oh my gosh, that's what it sounds like to me.
It's gonna happen, Brian. I don't want to lose Floki either, but he went over to Westworld. And that's just what happens. And I think we lost him over there already too, right? So I guess it's just gonna happen. It's history. It's history. I mean,
it's like a soap opera, guys.
But okay, it's because
I might have a mental block with that.
And then they go away to see it, and then they come back, and the kids are like a couple years older. It's time passes. It's what happens. But they're Vikings. But it's because it's telling the story of what happened is what it is. It's really good. You won't even care. I mean, you will because
I won't even
care. You'll get mad because you'll be like, no, I didn't want him to die. But if you know what really happened, then you know what's already coming. So, see, me, I already know what was coming because I know that part of history. So, I mean, that sucks for me because it's a spoiler alert. But at the same time, it's not so disappointing when it happens.
You guys, okay, hold on. People giving me the crap about the soap opera. I wanted to get you a little riled up because I used to watch soap operas, okay? Who hasn't watched like General Hospital and Days of Our Lives where you see generations? I've seen the same people on those shows for decades. Decades.
I'm not
going to say how many decades, okay? But I am going to say that I've seen multiple generations in my time, guys. And I refuse because the story never ends. And I don't. I've got my own stories that I'm writing. So that's hard for me. You guys are killing me. Oh my god!
When Nick on Young and the Restless choked, he was a baby and he was choking on a penny, and Victor did a Heimlich on him, and the next minute he's like a 30-year-old hot guy. And it's like
don't even. Oh god, you went there, Victor. Oh god.
Yes, I said Victor on Young and the Restless.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I remember when Victoria was born. Just saying.
Her too, man. I used to not stand.
Okay, and I remember her as a teenager and then young adult, and I didn't watch it every day. I would flip through the channels and I would see that she grew up.
Yeah, she did too. She went from this little girl to the next thing you know, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing, Dad?" And yeah, I know it happened, right? Seriously, and I did. I had a friend in school. Her name was Marlena. She was named after Marlena, but Marlena was still she looked the same. It's like, how are you named after her? Days of Our Life, man. I'm telling you.
We'll see. Okay, I will try not to develop a mental block because of that reason. Okay, because
don't get it in the mind of soap operas, not with Vikings.
Because, like I said, you're talking decades.
No, it's history, and it's okay because when the kid grows up on there, you only see him as a kid a minute, so it doesn't bother you as bad. In other words, you'll adjust. It's okay. It's okay. Just let it float by. Floats away.
We'll see.
I don't like that princess, though. She's a bit. I'll just say that right now. You won't like her either. I'm telling you.
A battle in every episode. You know what? I don't need that kind of stuff. As long as it's got an awesome storyline and characters that I'm gonna like. And characters I'm gonna hate too, because I need to talk about someone, of course, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
You'll want to throw stuff at people when you watch it, but you're gonna love people too, and people that aren't necessarily good. It's one of those shows where you love the bad people, and you know you shouldn't, but you do because they're just that good. You know, I mean, it's really good though. Yeah, Ivar the Boneless. Yeah, I can't wait for this season for Ivar. And I know he was a bad person. I know what a bad person he was, and I still love him. And that right there tells me it's a good show and a great actor. And yeah, no, it's really good. It really is. I ain't gonna do you wrong on a TV show. If it sucks, I'll tell you it sucks. Or if it's a bubblegum TV show, I'll tell you it's a bubblegum TV show.
No, it looks like a quality show. I mean, like I said, that's why I wonder, how long is this show? How long has it been going? Does it?
I keep worrying it's going to end.
Like Walking Dead, after a number of seasons, it's just like, like I won't watch that because, stuff like Nip Tuck back then, that kind of stuff. Like I'm not into everything. So
I used to love Nip Tuck until they went to Miami. Then I lost interest. It was good at first, and then I lost interest real quick. But in my defense with Nip Tuck, I love Julian McMahon. So, and he's on oh man, no, I can't think of it. The Runaways on Netflix, which is another Marvel TV show, and it's about to start season 2.
Yeah, I know. It's just that.
It's him though, it's the actor.
You guys, I'm not going to get into superhero stuff. It's just too vast, and there's so much history.
Try Legion. Just let all your prejudice against superhero stuff go. Leave it at the door. Forget everything.
No, I don't have a prejudice against it. It's just the backstories and it's too vast of a world for me.
Forget it all. Forget it all. Leave it at the door and watch Legion. I'm telling you, it's just a whole different level, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. Like, really, it's just totally different. It's amazing. It really is. Noah Hawley did that show. It's just really, 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 really good.
I don't have Hulu, guys, and I'm not going to get it just to watch a show here or there. So I'm not. I have Netflix, and it's because my if my brother watches this, you're the best. Right he pays for it. And he got me the subscription, but anyway.
I first watched Runaways on Netflix. I didn't even know. I do pledge my life to Legion. I'm telling you. I love it. And I'll tell you guys soon about why I think that S.H.I.E.L.D. is all in Legion. Why I think Division 3 is S.H.I.E.L.D. actually. Because, I started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Legion. And now there's no convincing me otherwise. And I started watching that one. That's pretty good, too. And, I didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I felt that way about the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. They just kind of bored me. And I like the superheroes and all that, but this agents I thought were boring. And now I think they're pretty cool, too. But it took me watching 5 seasons of that show to get into it. Another one that's good too, I'm going to say one last one. And they're going on their last season, Stacey, and that's Gotham. And I know the little
I remember watching the first episode, and I thought, you know what? This could be good.
Yeah. No,
I stopped after the first episode. But I remember when that came out, and I watched it, and it didn't really capture me enough.
I thought that at first, and then I stayed with it for a minute, and it's a nice twist on just all the different characters in Gotham, and away from Brucey Boy a little bit. My only objection to it is that everybody has to talk like Bruce Wayne, because they kind of do. It's kind of funny. Jim Gordon talks like him. It's just a little bit funny. They all kind of got that Batman voice, So yeah.
Yeah.
I just like the character development of all the different villains, and you see how they become who they are.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was interesting about it. But then, like I said, and that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in the Joker's backstory, right? But like, it just wasn't enough to catch me. So that's why I don't watch it, guys. I did start watching it, and yeah, I couldn't get past the first episode.
Oh, I can't.
There's a lot that I will watch the first episode and make my decision based on that. And
oh, you shouldn't do that. The first episode.
No, I totally do.
Horrible. That's horrible.
Totally.
There's so many first episodes that suck.
No, but you know what?
You can't base anything on the first episode. At least go 2 in it. At least 2.
But if they're gonna be good, they're gonna start out good, I think. And
and this is what I think.
Most of the stuff that I've watched where the first episode was like great have really just kind of kept pushing the bar. So I like those. I like really like excellent first episodes.
But you gotta give room for pilots. What if they have a low budget and a crappy pilot? Filming goes wrong. It's not cast right. Something goes off.
No. It takes more than that. I mean, even then, if it's got, you know, a good enough storyline for me to stick with it, again, it just didn't capture me in all those ways. So
I've seen
some big budget, you know, awesome production, and just they would fall flat for me. So I'm really picky. Just gonna throw that out there, guys. I'm picky.
Oh man.
Like you couldn't tell, right?
Right.
Because we've been talking about this for almost a half an hour. I'm just saying.
We're gonna get you watching Vikings, and I'm telling you, we're gonna get you watching. We're gonna get you watching.
That one's not gonna take much convincing for me because, like I said, it's something that I have been meaning to start. I just have to finish something else first to make time for it. So.
And yeah, all right. Jeremiah character is amazing, and I do think he needs the role. He's talking about Gotham really quick. Phantom D-Saint, I'll call you like you are on here, BBM. And he's talking about where he plays and it's like the Joker role. He's kind of coming out this season too, and he is amazing. He's the guy from Shameless. Something Monahan. I can't think of his first name right now. But his last name is Monahan. And he's on Shameless on Showtime if you watch that. Ian. He's Ian on Shameless, I had to think. Which is a really good show too. I'd recommend that one to you too, Stacey.
You know how many shows are out there, you guys? Seriously?
That one's like way in. I think we're on like season 8 of that one. But it's really good too.
Like I even tried watching Silicon Valley, okay? I'm just on the lookout for something. And I've tried, and I just...
Silicon Valley is really good, too. I watched that one, too.
I've seen a few episodes, like, far apart, just because it would come on, after Game of Thrones, right? So yeah. I would just kind of leave the channel on, and I would turn and look at it, and go, oh, okay. But it didn't stick.
Oh, I love that one, too, because them guys are so hilarious. Jared's like crazy. I'll tell you that right now. If you do watch it, Jared's crazy. You're like talks in asleep and don't remember it and stuff. Right? I think I might be too. I think I run neck and neck with what fandom watches.
There's some other ones that I wanted, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's really good too.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I just can't pick it up. I can't do it all. You know. I know. I'm reasonably speaking. I just can't do it all. So
I just have the TV on a lot, and then when I don't have the TV on, then I have my phone on with the TV off and headphones usually. So
my TV hasn't gotten much play lately. So
Oh, just wait till you have a baby, then it will. You'll be like, turn some noise on, please.
Probably not for a while. So
you think, oh man, I wish you the best with that. Good luck.
I know.
Bless your sweetheart. Of course, see, I'm cursed with insomnia too, so.
Yeah, well, me too, but like, I remember I didn't watch much TV until I was probably like, you know, a toddler. I mean, it wasn't like the TV. The only thing that was on in the house when I was a kid was between my mom and my dad. My mom would watch soap operas and game shows, and my dad would watch sports. That's it. There was no room for anything else. There was nothing for us to watch. We had to watch what they watched. So guess who became pretty darn good at Jeopardy because of it? And that I used to watch that every dang night too. Where Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Holy crap, guys! My use of knowledge is like through the roof. Okay, so I'm just saying, like that was my world. And then like stuff like Married with Children. I still watch that on occasion. Married with Children. Okay. I'll go back and I'll watch Mama's Family and like old shows and stuff just because they happen to be on at night. I mean, oh my gosh, Golden Girls and whatever.
I love that show too.
If I just happen to be up late at night, that's the kind of stuff that I just I click through the channels and that just happens to be on, and I sit there and I find myself laughing like crazy. Three's Company and, you know, all those from, you know, someone's childhood. You know, not that I'm going to age myself here or anything, but like there's just a bunch of stuff that I have watched over, you know, over the years. Just now is kind of like I just have to drop one to gain one, so I have to choose wisely.
I started The Crown and I haven't finished it. I don't remember what I was watching at the time. I was watching something else and I got distracted. So I didn't ever get to finish it. I need to finish that one.
So Brand said Bob's Burgers. I did start watching that one. And you know what? My best friend, my total BFF, is absolutely into Bob's Burgers. And I am not. She was also into American Horror Story. And she kind of got me started with, just so you guys know how late of an adopter I really am. I started watching at Hotel, okay, because it was an anthology. So I watched Hotel and then I went back in time. So I waited seasons and seasons and seasons before I even got into it. That's how late of an adopter I am.
Yeah, I started watching it season 1 with my mom, and I actually asked my mom like about 2 weeks ago where she was at. I'm like, "Oh, have you been watching the new season? You know what's going on?" She's like, "Hell, I'm back on Roanoke. I'm too scared to watch it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," because I always watched it with her, and I'd watch it with her, and then it's like, okay, now let's watch something happy afterwards because it was always so scary. And she's like, "Nope, I'm not watching it now. I can't bring myself to watch through it." It's like, I'm sorry, Mom.
Yeah, I like a variety of things. I don't like all drama, all comedy. I like to watch a bunch of different things. So.
Yeah, me too. I like a mix. I like to laugh. I like anything funny because I just like laughing a lot. I highly recommend You're the Worst on FX. It's hilarious.
You're the Worst. Isn't that one ending?
Yes, and we're going on the last season. I know you've been watching the first American Horror.
See, I have a chance to like watch that eventually in its entirety.
Oh yes, and it's only like half-an-hour episodes, and you can watch them all. Like I watch it all the time.
No, like, Brand, you don't get it. I don't know how many of you I told my Game of Thrones story. Is I didn't get into Game of Thrones until 2013 when I was flying between, where I live and DC to go to work for some training. And I didn't have anything to read. I'm a reader. So I didn't have anything to read on my flight. And I was looking around for books and I was like, Game of Thrones, and I had been clicking through the channels, and I saw that it was always on HBO every time I was clicking through, but I never stopped to watch it. I was like, that's a book? What? So I was like, maybe I'll read it. Maybe, and it was like nice and thick book. You guys know that, right? So I decided I was going to read Game of Thrones between, you know, hours and hours of nights between here and DC and back, and that's how I ended up getting into the show. But it wasn't until like the third season. So yeah, that's when I started. And then I started binge reading the books to get caught up, to make sure that by the time I got to, you know, season 4, I knew what was going on. So that's kind of how I got involved, is I read the books, and, you know, I bought those one after. And, you know, I know you're having some trouble with Amazon, Marie, but man, they really came through for me, and they shipped a bunch of books, Game of Thrones books, to me at one time. And I just binge read the heck out of those. So,
you know, with the books, I waited forever because my best friend had them, and she's like, "Oh, you can borrow them. You can borrow them. You can borrow them," and she never let me borrow them. And I had read the first book already, and then she ended up letting her dad let somebody borrow them, whatever, that he worked with, and she kept waiting to get the one book back. And then finally, I got tired of waiting, and I went out and bought the box set, the leather-bound box set, and I sat down and I read them all just front to back like that. Mm-hmm. And like, I didn't stop. I just read them straight through. It was great. And I did it. Well, they were all out at that time. Dance was out. And so whatever season, who knows? Mm-hmm. But by the time I finally got to read them, but I'll tell you, it was great because I couldn't handle watching Red Wedding, knowing that it was about to happen. But I can imagine everybody out there that already knew it was coming going, yeah, and laughing at everybody that didn't know it was coming, and just stuff like that, because it was horrible. I can imagine just with Ned, because the moment that got me when I first watched it, that sunk me, that was it, mm-hmm. was the whole, when I was done for with Game of Thrones, was when Ned Stark died. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm hooked now. And that was it. And I read the first book. I remember reading the first book, but I didn't read nothing else after that. And I didn't even really remember reading the first book because it had been so long, until I went back and read it again. Then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I remember this. And then it's like, but there was nothing else to read at that time to continue it. So when I finally got it and I could put it all together and just go, I haven't stopped yet, if that tells you anything. Yeah. And yeah, the colored ones where it's got the red, the purple, the blue. And I like to walk around and make little jokes about it because they look like little tiny Bibles. Well, really big, fat Bibles. And, you know, you got to walk around like Melisandre with them. And they're just, man. And then I got all the books. I got the map book. I got the World Ice and Fire book. I got the books with the audio books. I've obsessively got Game of Thrones books. Like, obsessively. It's kind of a sickness now at this point. And then I watch the TV show all the time. But even with the TV show, like, I started watching it, and I'd go over to my best friend's and watch it with her every week. And this will be the first season that I don't watch it with her. So that'll be a little weird. Well, last season I kind of didn't as much, but it's just, all of it's a little weird for me. But just because of just the little connections that you make with people when you're doing it all the way. We've been doing Game of Thrones for a bunch of years now. You think about the gaps in between different books and seasons, and they're kind of going over a year now at this point. And then the little different add-ons too, because we got 3 Dunk and Egg books now. We got Fire and Ice. We got the different world books. That's a lot of other information. You take into come on. Every season's got a History and War video out too. I don't know. Have you seen all that stuff, Stacey? Do you get into all the extra features and stuff?
No. Mm-mm. I haven't bought. I don't have the DVDs or any. I just have the books. So,
well, you can go on YouTube and watch the History and Lore videos for each season. without buying them.
Yeah, they're actually on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's how I see them, guys. I if I can't get it on YouTube, I mean, I'm been trying to save money wherever I could. So money and time, they're hot commodities in this house.
Right.
So I haven't bought any of the other books or anything like that. I know that some people have sent me links to read, Dunk and Egg and what is it, The Princess and the Queen, those things.
You can get those audiobooks on YouTube.
I have those on ebook. I just, again, time. So I'm trying.
And I recommend, and this is something I want to put out there too, just because we're talking about it. So what the hell? Before Fire and Blood comes out, this is something I think, and I'm kind of excited because I want to see if it proves true. Whenever we did Sons of the Dragon, and in that short story that we had, Maegor does a trial by 7, and initially he's the only one that's left. Okay. And he's laying there, and Visenya walks over to him and leans down and all that other stuff. And then, okay, he's alive. And then they take him back to the Red Keep. And then nobody sees him for like a bunch of days. Then he comes out, hey, everybody. And then Taina of the Tower and the other chick, I forget her name, but they come over from Essos and join him. His wife and Taina. Now, I kind of have this idea that Visenya, being the badass sorceress that she is and all that stuff, kind of did a Thoros on Beric sort of thing where she leaned down, said some words, and kind of relit the spark in him and brought Maegor back. And I kind of think that's why he never had any child and why the throne rejected him and it eventually killed him. So I'm kind of interested to see where Fire and Blood's going with Visenya. That's my main bitch right there. And I love Visenya. So I don't want them to screw up. And I really hope they don't. But I want to see if that proves true right there. I want to see if she brought Maegor back or not. But it's just really weird because in that whole Battle of 7, he's just the only one that's left. And I just don't think that Maegor was meant to be. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with her. I think she had a bigger role to play than what we've heard. She's mentioned too much. And so I don't know. And I'm really excited for Fire and Blood. It's just, it's Targaryens. I geek out over Targaryens. That's my moment. That's my spot.
Team Stark. Just saying. You guys have no idea. Like I've gotten so deep into their prehistory, and eventually I will go back and dive a little further into the rest of the Starks, whatever I can find. But I still have to finish my work on the Faceless Men. And I know that a few of you guys are just, waiting and waiting and waiting for me to do this. It always takes such a long time for me. But I try to go like eyebrow deep, not like, ankle deep into that kind of stuff. And I'm not just looking for, character profiles and stuff like that, because anyone can do that. Anyone can figure out a character profile and get some basic information and call it good. I don't do it that way. I'm a total deep diver in anything. And that's another reason why, when I watch something or when I read something, I have to do pretty much like one thing at a time. I can't watch a bunch of different series that are going on at the same time, because I like to think deeper about what I'm watching. I'm a thinker, So for me, yeah, Bran, I mean, if you're interested, I don't know if you ever had the chance to watch Maya and Marie's videos about the Starks, the Children of the Forest, and the future of Westeros. But I think that if you haven't watched it, you probably should. Marie you gotta you gotta sell that one if
I know. Drop a link, Marie. Drop a link.
Yeah, Marie. Where's the links? I know we haven't touched base for a while about that, but I'm just still trying to get back into that, and I probably won't be able to do my deep dive back into the Faceless Men and everything until we finish with American Horror Story, because then that frees up the time for me for a little while until I start watching Vikings, guys. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I want to see some happy faces out there. I'm gonna do something out of the ordinary here. But I can watch the series and I can, do research into the book. I just can't, I can't do what Fandom does. I don't know how he does it, man. You do so many series at like one time. You're crazy, man. You're a beast. Like, I don't know how you do it. I don't watch all the videos, but man, I see you watch so many and you freaking just, you're on it. So I don't know how you do it. That's not me. I can't do it. I multitask to an extent, guys.
I've come to figure out why he records his reactions. It's just easier. I don't blame him.
I know, and you've got some very priceless facial expressions too. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
Like your thumbnails when I scroll through, dude, I crack up. Yeah, I can't do that because my facial features, like I don't get the surprise and all that. Like I have like one look, okay.
And there needs to be very expressive. Blackwoods. I'm just saying that. I'm throwing that out there.
Yeah. So Bran, I think you'll like our videos. They are on the longer side, but they're very, very deep. And if you have any questions about anything that you come across in those videos, just reach out and let us know, because man, I'm always glad to talk about that stuff over and over. We were just talking about it before we went live. We were talking about some of the other connections to the Starks that that are out there that we didn't even have time to cover. So there's so many.
I brought that up to Marie, that same thing. Up to Marie too. And I'll just say it a little bit here now, but it was kind of about, just in case y'all are wondering, about the Barrowlands, or Barrowton. Now I'm getting.
You're right. Yeah, both are
right. And just about whether or not because I've heard it out there before, but it had to do with whenever they, at the end of the 1,000 Years' War, when they married into the Starks, if maybe that connection went into the Night King or Night Queen connection with the 13th Lord Commander. And me and Stacey were talking about how that fit in with Rose of Red Lake. Now go check out her stream and you'll wonder how it fits.
And we even brought Benjen back into the equation too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because of the DNA, guys. We seem to think that the Dustins share Stark DNA, and just like most of the North does.
Yeah.
because of what I mentioned in the video, right? And not that we're making a whole new video out of this or doing that, but there is a deep familial connection between the Dustins and the Starks that I believe goes through Rose.
Yeah.
So and the Krennicman. Yep, the Krennicman is part of it too, Bran. Just so that you're aware. The Krennicman, we talk about that along with the I'm not gonna keep you in suspense here. You get to watch it after you finish listening to us.
It's very good. It really is. I've watched all parts of it.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
Oh yes, we will. As soon as I can talk her into a topic, I have to give her a start topic.
Yeah, Yeah, we have to. And like I said, I'm still the Faceless Men is still, you know, an area of deep interest for me. So,
and I have several interests.
I am determined to crack them wide open. Okay.
I told you what I think. I told you what I think it is with them and what they're doing around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Or one of the reasons that they're around. I kind of think they have a few reasons, but I think that's probably their main reason. So, yeah. And I got a few ideas for Game of Thrones. If I start talking about it, then we're going to go down a totally different few rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Especially if we start talking Starks. I've got ideas about Stark's blood and Targaryen blood running around Westeros too, just in general.
Yeah, months and months of deep research. I mean, you should see my notes. I didn't even cover everything in my notes in that
I have
video.
notebooks. I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, just for this little chunk of Stark history, I had so many notes. But it's the little puzzle pieces that you have to put together to build the story. And what I didn't present to everybody in that was, you know, those little puzzle pieces that I found along the way, and all the different outside subject matter, you know, like Greek mythology and all that that helped me come to the conclusions that I did. So it's not just that I, you know, had a theory and everything. There was just a lot of basis for us to come to the conclusions that we did about the characters that we did. So I hope you'll find it at least interesting.
Oh yeah. And Brand's talking about the Isle of Faces here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say one thing real quick about that. That just occurred to me after I watched the movie. Don't bother watching the movie because it had Tom Cruise in it. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. But the movie just...
One face Tom. That's what I call him, is One Face Tom.
One Face Tom, yeah.
Like
I can't get over him jumping on Oprah's couch. That's just the last place I left him, and he stayed there.
Yeah.
But, oh, God, he's lost his mind.
If you've seen him in Risky Business, you've seen all his movies.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's the truth, ain't it? Oh, and that is it. Ooh, Tom Cruise. Oh, okay, so I watched The Mummy the other day. Yeah, just save your time. That's just time you can't get back.
Oh, I didn't even watch. I didn't even bother. I haven't watched anything of his in quite some time.
Just save your time. Just do it. Just save your time. It might have been good if it was somebody else, but no, it wasn't. It was Tom Cruise. But anyways, the whole point of this is Egypt, mummy, all that other stuff. There's watchers. You know about the watchers. They're like these giant statues that are around the sarcophagus. They're supposed to be facing outward to watch, right? Keep stuff away. Well, in this, they're facing in. They're watching it. The whole point is they're trying to keep something in instead of keep something out. So got me thinking about the Isle of Faces. All these faces are pointed in. Why are they pointed in? Are they trying to keep something in instead of keeping something out? So that's the whole point of this. What are the Isle of Faces? Are they trying to keep something in there instead of watching something? You know, it just made me think of the Watchers. And maybe this whole time we're thinking, what's so special about the Isle of Faces is they're keeping something in there instead of watching to keep something out.
And maybe the crypts, guys. There's reasons for everything. So yeah.
Right? But it totally flipped that around on me. I never thought of it that way. This whole time, we always think like, oh, maybe the Night Queen's hidden in Winterfell crypts or something like that. Okay. No, I don't think that anymore. I really don't. I do think there's something on the Isle of Faces, though. Now, if anything, I'd say the Night Queen's probably like in the Shivering Sea or something like that, just based on what I've read. Like, if you read about the Shivering Sea and all that, it just says stuff in there. It just makes me think that maybe that's where. But, yeah, I don't think so about the crypts of Winterfell anymore. I think that the old kings are going to rise or something in crypts, but not the Night Queen. But I think that the Isle of Faces is still really shady and there's something going on there. But I think they're guarding something.
It's not her.
It's not her. No.
It's not her.
It's not. It may now whether or not it's now. This is another idea I thought, because what if it's like his body? We've never even thought about that. And he's a warg. Why couldn't he be warging into what we see him as being the Night King? We got Bloodraven living in a damn tree. Why couldn't the Night King be doing the same thing?
You're gonna make me go there, aren't you? Seriously, like that's another video for another time.
I know, right? Good, get them wheels turning. I'm gonna do it to you.
It is.
I get you going on some Stark stuff. I got a lot of Stark stuff too in my head.
No. And as long as you're going back to that era, man, I've been through all of that.
Want to talk about the Night Fort? What you want to talk about?
Because there were times where, whereas I was doing my research, I was even questioning everything that I was putting down. Like, is this the case? And what about this? And, I had to put it through the ringer as much as I could. So, we have not left American Horror Story in the dust. Okay? Let me be clear. I keep trying to tie it back somehow. It just takes a few minutes to bring it back up again. But we're not going to get the Isle of Faces guys in the show.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think we are.
See, where else will we get that? Because they said we're going to get a new place in the last season. So where else is it going to be? We know we're not going to get a Shy because we're not that lucky.
I don't think it's going to be.
Isle of Faces to me.
Yes, definitely in the books. I think they're going to elaborate on that for sure, but I don't think it's going to be in the show.
Maybe we'll see Greywater Watch finally.
They were talking about where was it? White Harbor.
Oh yeah, because that's where they're going to land.
Yeah.
See, that would be obvious. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if that's the place that they're talking about, because they even talked about going there, right?
Yeah, that's where they're on the ship.
Look, in the show, there just hasn't been enough hype over the Isle of Faces. There really hasn't. It's not. It's more of a book thing.
See, they ruin stuff when they do shows like that, though.
But just like
yeah, well, we already seen Volantis. Sorry, Brian was talking about. We're going to see the Red Lady gone to the big place of the Red Priest to recruit. We already seen Volantis. We seen Varys and Tyrion there when the Red Priestess was preaching, and they were sitting there, and he was talking about, oh, you didn't tell me we were going to meet their savior or whatever. So we've seen Volantis. Mm-hmm. It'd be kind of cool to see the Red Temple there, I think. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm iffy about that. I hope that they do, but I don't know that they will.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, but here's the thing, right? And you guys could probably see my logic in this. Not that we meant to talk about this or anything, right? But if they spent that much time in Braavos following Arya and showing that much of Braavos, then why wouldn't they take the time to show the temple in Volantis?
Right. And I'm sorry, but they spent all that time in Braavos. They could have showed like Cat in the Canals and some other parts.
But I have justification for it, so okay. There's reason for them to show Volantis. I hope that they do. If they don't, then that's not like a good thing. They actually would benefit from showing the temple and the red priests and priestesses out there. So, you thought that was just the people in the streets of Marine? I mean, it's pretty similar, right? So, I mean, they could probably reuse some of that area. But yeah, it starts at Winterfell. Marie, it's going to be all about Winterfell for sure.
Yeah, it's all about Winterfell this season. I think there's going to be most of it taking place at Winterfell. Mm-hmm. I will not watch the spoilers for this season. I'm trying to stay unsullied.
My theory is that it's not going to go that far south. That the whole war thing, if it even comes to that, is not going to go that far south. It didn't the first time.
So you don't see it going to King's Landing?
No. I think what's going to happen is what Marie and I talked about, and that's why we see, what looks like snow in the throne room. I'm not going to go into much detail. You guys are going to have to watch the video. If you
I know. I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't think I can remember which theory was that. Okay.
No spoilers. Yeah.
I watched so much stuff. I have no idea.
Based on the history, the White Walkers did not go that far south, and they're not going to go that far south this time around either. It's not going to happen.
See, the only thing that makes me kind of wonder about King's Landing is the name, for one. Oh, okay, there's two things. One, because it's called King's Landing, okay? And King's, it's not King Landing, it's King's Landing. So it makes me think there's going to be two kings that are landing. The Night King and the actual king being like Jon Snow or something, right? So that's why I think, yeah, they might not all make it to King's Landing, but I think at least the Night King will. And because of that nice little screaming white that they had there in the dragon pit, I think was kind of a homing beacon. But that's just me. Just like the one above the wall when they were north of the wall called and brought the storm whenever he let out that nice little scream. I just think they were like a homing beacon. Plus the whole Storm's End thing being the name with Storm's End. I kind of think there's something more to the names.
Well, we covered all of that in our videos too.
Yeah, I know
why they were called. Yeah, why they were called that way, and based on who built them and why. Yeah.
Well, that's like with the Fist of the First Men. The tower sticking up is just like Storm's End's tower too.
That was also
the old castle that's just built. But Old Man talks about that castles were buried under the snow and whole towns were buried. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't that be one of them? Why couldn't that be like the Last Hero or even Bran's old castle or something, like Brandon the Builders that just is now buried? See, there's a lot about the old Stark history we still don't know. That's the part that gets me. And not just the Starks, but I think that it's the Stark and even, I don't want to say Targaryen, but maybe Valyrians.
The Fist of the First Men isn't what we thought it was, though.
Well, there was the First Men, and then there was the True Men. The True Men were actually there first.
It was so the Fist of the First Men is a ring fort, right? And
right.
Anytime that you see a ring fort up in the north, those were places where sacrifices were taking place. And when they weren't doing that, they were used as defensive positions, if you will, because they were either, depending on how they were built, they were either higher up from the ground so that they could see, or lower down into the ground for a defensive position. So they were used different ways, but the Fist of the First Men, we know that one's higher up. That was actually used for sacrifices. And that's something that was actually, I believe it was on the cave walls at Dragonstone too.
Yes, no, I agree. And I think that it took, in the books at least, that whenever Jon blew the horn is what called them there. And then Jon left. And that's what they came looking for. He wasn't there. And they came and just kind of wiped out the whole friggin' Night's Watch in the books. But he took off with Corran. Oh yeah, that's like a whole thing with me too. Like I'm getting really deep
Right?
into you might watch
Yeah.
all of them. And yeah, even ties Moat Cailin because it is. It reminds me of the towers at Moat Cailin too. Because where you got the children's tower, I forget, there's 3 of them still standing.
Yeah.
I know the children's tower is one because it always creeps me out because I think of them creepy ass little kids. The creepy ass little kids, creepy ass little children. They're not kids in the book or in the show even, but yeah. There's always some, I'm telling you. And yeah, but there's just similarities between them if you pay attention to the just different castles even. Yeah. And even the fact that Brand the Builder's got a hand in all this stuff too. Yeah, you should check out if you don't watch the history and lore on the different seasons. It's really interesting. Mm-hmm. There's a lot about this.
So
yeah,
so we're just gonna let you watch the videos, Brand, because yeah, Moat Cailin has been, and it's been mentioned a bunch of times in the show too. So Moat Cailin is definitely important, and in the show it's more important than Isle of the Faces. So
yeah, and there's still a few questions surrounding Moat Cailin too, especially considering it's supposed to be no way around it, but we know people that have been around it. There's a question of how. Mm-hmm. So yeah, King's Tower. I know the King's Tower was one there, right? See, now I'm going to be looking at Moat Cailin later. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And it's been last impressions as far as season of American Horror Story.
Yes, that it's, you know what? I'm looking forward to the next 2 seasons and the last 2 seasons, right? So we'll have an opportunity to not just go into those, but we can recap, you know, the entire show, the series, everything too. So I'm looking forward to talking more about that for sure.
And by then, I promise I'll watch Cult. Oh, I swear I will. And yes, me too. I can't wait to see exactly where American Horror Story is taking us because I have a feeling it's definitely going somewhere now. It's not just an anthology anymore. It's actually got a point somewhere in here. Ryan Murphy, what are you doing to us now? Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. It's been great. Check it out. Check out American Horror Stories. Don't forget to wear black on Wednesday. And yeah, be on the lookout. We'll be doing something soon. I'm going to get Stacey watching some other shows. And hopefully she'll be watching Vikings next time we talk to her. Maybe, just maybe I'll get her watching Legion yet. You guys check out some of these great shows. Any of them, all of them. And definitely be looking out for us. We'll be doing something Game of Thrones here soon. Thank you guys for joining us. Stacey, any last words?
Last words. Yeah, 2 more seasons and then it's over. I mean, unless they surprise us with a couple more beyond that. But I mean, if this really does follow Dante's Inferno and the circles of hell, there's 9 of them, so that puts us at 9 seasons, and then the 10th just wraps everything up. That would be a cool thing, since everyone seems to think that that's the path that it's kind of blazing. I tend to agree that's the case too. So I'm glad to be out here with everyone. I'm glad you guys stuck with us. This has been a really long stream, and you know, week after week, you guys coming out here and poking our brains too and making us really think and remember stuff. And it's been hard to remember some things sometimes. So we appreciate you guys and thank you so much.
And yes, definitely thank you guys. We love going down that rabbit hole. We know it's always fun. And we appreciate you guys so much. And we will look for you on the next stream. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one.